Welcome to Massage Place Stadium, a beautiful Saturday evening here in the city of Prince George. This game has been 3 years in the making. The Prince George Kodiaks getting set for their home opener as they get set to play host to the Kamloops Broncos, the first BCFC game held here in Prince George for a home team in forever. I'm joined by Tyler McLaren, the president of the BCFC. He'll be calling color for me, helping me along the way. Tyler, how does it feel to be here in Prince George for a historic day?
It's totally awesome, and to see this come to life, like you said, is outstanding. And the hard work of both Craig Briere, the president of the Kodiaks, and the board, and the support from the people of Prince George and surrounding communities is absolutely awesome. So it's an exciting day. Like you said, it's long in the waiting, and we're finally here, and it's awesome to be here.
Awesome. Well, of course, you are listening to Kodiaks football on 99.3 Rewind Radio. But not only that, this is also the TELUS Game of the Week, which is brought to you by the BC Lions, EXP Realty, Way Home Real Estate, Group Kelowna, and the Coast to Coast real estate team, Nanaimo. That's right, you can see this game being streamed on BCFC TV as well if you're a TELUS customer on channel 1999 on your television. So plenty of ways if you've not been able to make your way down here to Massage Place Stadium. Quite honestly, I don't know if there's going to be room for you, so you might be better off watching it from home or listening on your car radio set. But Tyler, again, I don't think I've seen Massage Place Stadium this packed. I've only been in Prince George for a few years, but what's it like to see Prince George just back this team as much as they have?
It's amazing, and you see the people still filing in here, and like you said, it looks like it's going to be a packed house here at the stadium, and people watching at home and on the radio and so forth. So it was amazing watching even the teams warm up. There was people here 2 hours before the game just watching it. And it almost had like a Canadian Bowl type atmosphere where fans are showing up that early before the game. So it's awesome to see.
Absolutely. And no, I've spent time, I've worked for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the city of Prince George reminds me so much of the city of Hamilton. It's an industrial town. We've got our mills, but this city has backed their football through high school programs, through the kickstart of the Kodiaks organization, and we're just moments away from the very first Prince George Kodiaks home game getting underway. The yellow smoke coming up around the tunnel here at Massage Place Stadium. The crowd absolutely packed. The UNBC drummers also here, setting the tone, setting the mood. This is an unbelievable atmosphere to be taking in junior football here in Prince George.
Yeah, for a fan experience, this is outstanding, and you can just, the fans here, they're, like I say, they're filed in, they're excited. I'm sure they're going to erupt when the Kodiaks come out pretty quick here, and it's just great to see, and the excitement, and the build-up, and like you said, I don't think there'll be a place in the house to sit down when this one gets going.
I don't think anyone will be sitting down, even if they are here.
There's such a build-up, it's almost like you said, like a Super Bowl where in a place like this where like you do all the stuff, the coin tosses, the teams do the warm-ups, and you could just see the players when they came off the field, the warm-up, the excitement in their eyes to play. It's something special for them, both the home team, the Kodiaks, and even the Kamloops Broncos to come off the field in front of the packed house.
Absolutely, and now the Prince George Kodiaks taking to the field. Head coach Keon Raymond pumping his boys up, and the crowd is ecstatic. The pyro going off here inside Massage Place Stadium. We've got just over 10 minutes to kick off. We're going to take a break, but when we get back, we will be hearing from head coach Keon Raymond after the break.
Collins Hotel, we have you and your family's comfort in mind.
Yeah.
Relax in one of our
let
16
me know
suites
when we're
featuring king or queen size beds and 36-inch TVs. Suites also include a mini fridge and other kitchen appliances to make your stay as comfortable as possible. During your stay in Pilot Mound, visit Weiser's Restaurant, our attached family-friendly restaurant and bar. It is the perfect location to host group meals, dine with the family, or unwind after a hockey game. Come in and meet our friendly staff offering daily specials on food and drinks, Wing Night Wednesdays, Buffet Fridays, and multiple TVs to watch the game. Weiser's is the place to be.
Check.
Collins Hotel and Weiser's Restaurant and Bar, located across the street from Blackjack Stewart Arena off Highway 3.
Check. Check. That a little better?
That's good? Okay.
Okay.
It's less windy.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land.
Yep.
True patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for
Let's go a minute. kickoff one now. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Just moments away from the opening kickoff here at Massage Place Stadium. A beautiful rendition of the national anthem by Grace Hawksbergen. A ceremonial coin toss at midfield here at Massage Place Stadium. Ahead of this matchup, Mayor Lynn Hall, MLA Shirley Bond, Clele Tanay, as well as MP Todd Doherty, also all present for the ceremonial coin toss, and each and every one of them huge supporters of this team. I remember talking to Mayor Lynn Hall last year, just over a year ago, when this team was announced, and this football team, kind of places themselves in an untapped market here in Prince George. Obviously, we've got our hockey teams, we have our university, but we've got no sports really going on during the summer months, and what a great display as proven by the city of Prince George with the turnout of this crowd here at Massage Place Stadium for what will be a historic day. The outcome yet to be determined, but a historic day as the Prince George Kodiaks get ready for their very first home game. And what a beautiful night it is. Once again, joined by Tyler McLaren, the president of the BCFC. And so far, what are your thoughts on just this environment?
Totally awesome and outstanding, and I think the fans, and they still continue to trickle in here into the stadium, I think they're going to be in for a lot of treats. Like the atmosphere, it's electric, and I think before there's still a few surprises up their Kodiak sleeve, so I think the fans are going to be in for a real treat tonight, and a fantastic fun season of exciting, hard-hitting, good action football.
And not to mention, I don't know if you've heard about the halftime. What's going down at the halftime? The guaranteed $200,000 jackpot, the Kodiaks kickoff 50-50 that was launched many months ago. Could potentially, that jackpot could reach, I don't know where it sits. They've been very secretive about where it sits, but there was enough tickets printed for that jackpot to reach $2 million. Did you get your tickets?
I actually did get my ticket. Hopefully it's okay if I win, but yeah, no, it's outstanding, and again, the support from the Prince George community, the fans. I know the Kodiaks are so appreciative of it. They're trying to be good people in the community, do the right things, support all the initiatives that happen here, and I know they appreciate everything that everybody's done to get this day to reality here, and the players I know are excited, the coaches are excited, and it's just a fantastic thing, and we can't wait for kickoff coming up pretty quick here.
Absolutely. Kickoff just moments away, both teams on their sideline. We will take a very quick break, about 30 seconds, but when we get back, it will be kickoff here at Massage Place Stadium. Kamloops Broncos lining up for the kickoff, going left to right here at Massage Place Stadium. And the Prince George Kodiaks, Noah Lack returns the opening kickoff, busts through some tackles, and gets hauled down to about the 34-yard line here at Massage Place Stadium. CJFL BCFC football has finally arrived here to the city of Prince George as the Kodiaks open up their very first offensive series, led by quarterback Liam Oskowski, a product of Calgary, Alberta, and a tall quarterback at that. 18 years old. It's hard to believe he's 18 years old given the fact he's 6'5". He lines up in the shotgun. It's a handoff to number 25, Jean-Baptiste. It's a gain of about 4. Gets hauled down just ahead of the 40-yard line. Number 56 for the Kodiaks, a little slow to get up after that one. So we will take a quick break as the Kodiaks continue their offensive drive here at Massage Place Stadium. Make it a minute. Taking a little slower. We're back. Number 56 from the Prince George Kodiaks, Rick Stepano, goes down. Appears to be a lower body injury as he gets helped off the field. Prince George Kodiaks, the offense currently on the field here at Massage Place Stadium, going broadcast right to left. The ball right smack dab in the middle of the hash marks. As the play gets whistled in, we'll see how the Kodiaks get set up for their second play of this game. It looks to be a trips left formation. 3 receivers along the left side of Liam Oskowski. Single back formation. Receivers come in motion. Oskowski takes the snap, and it's a quick handoff to number 10. Quickly gets tripped up right at the 40-yard line.
Yeah, good first series here by Prince George as they try and establish the run. Broncos were coming with a blitz, so unfortunately for the Kodiaks, it'll be a 2-and-out, and now the punt team will come on. So good actions. Bit of a safe start there by Prince George's offense, I thought, but all in all, a good start. And now the teams, after a possession or two, can start to settle in.
And I think also, positive yards are good yards.
Positive yards are good, and with a good kick, field position so huge in this game. So we'll see what happens here for the Kodiaks as they'll look to pin the Broncos deep.
Absolutely, and Matthew Mitchell, currently back to punt for the Kodiaks, actually leads the BCFC in average punt or average yards per punt as he boots this off to about the 40-yard line in Kamloops' end. Number 15 gets to about the 50-yard line in Kamloops' end of the field. So some yardage on the punt return, a beautiful kick by Mitchell, and obviously we saw that in week 1, him just blast the ball. He was perhaps on the field more often than what he wanted to, but obviously this is a young offensive unit for the Kodiaks, and also on the flip side, a young defensive unit in which we see for the first time tonight, currently lined up as Reed Van Koenen in at quarterback for the Kamloops Broncos. Receiver motioning to the right side. Takes the snap, quick hitch to number 85, but can't haul it in. And it'll be 2nd and 10 for the Broncos.
Yeah, good quick start. What should have been a simple throw and catch from Van Koffet to Chris Finden. I think maybe either nerves or he was trying to spin to be able to get upfield. unfortunately, it's incomplete. Second down for the Broncos.
And a number of Prince George products, obviously, being on previous teams prior to this season. Chris Findon, actually, though, he's from Prince George, but has opted to stay with the Kamloops Broncos as their second down goes down. Ball snapped. Vancouver drops back, slings it downfield, but can't get hauled in. The defense forces a 2-and-out here at Massage Place Stadium, and the crowd is loving the defensive output so far.
Really good pressure there as well by the Kodiak defensive line as they were right in on Van Connet, and he had nowhere to do. He tried to throw one up, but he was trying to get it to the wide side of the field. Really tough throw. 2-and-out for Broncos. So Kodiak's defense does what it needs to do. They get the ball back in what should be good field position.
And it will be a punting situation for the Broncos as number 1, Keon Raymond II, is back to receive for the Kodiaks. We'll see. He got a little bit of action in week 1 for return duties. We'll see how this one goes for him as the ball gets kicked. Hang time quite up there is a little bit of a bobble and fumble. We'll see whether
Should be Kodiak.
managed. It looks, yes, the Kodiaks jump on that. A lucky break. Certainly not how you want to be playing those situations, especially so deep in your own end of the field. A sigh of relief, perhaps.
Definite exhale from the faithful here at the stadium and the Kodiak's bench as Keon Raymond II was trying to make a play. Unfortunately, again, he was coming to his left, so it was a good bit of tough catch, but fortunate for the Kodiaks, they were able to recover and keep possession of the ball.
Yes, and Liam Oskowski gets the play from the Kodiak sideline as the huddle breaks. Ball currently on the left hash, going broadcast right to left. And he gets the snap. A little bit of a sweep play to number 13, Jerome Erickson, a Prince George product. Maybe a few yards there as the ball, as he gets hauled just past the 30-yard line. Looks to be the 31 and a half yard line for the Kodiaks.
Yeah, short gain there by Erickson as he was running the jet sweep action. The Broncos saw it, read it pretty well, flowed to the football. Minimal gain on first down, but again, trying to test the Broncos to see how they move laterally. Broncos in that particular case responded well.
And second down play here for the Kodiaks. Now on the right hash as Oskowski directs his receivers. Takes the snap, drops back, flag on the play already as it is as he scrambles around to the right side, looks for the sideline. An incomplete pass. We'll see what the call is from the officials.
It's in the direction of where the official threw it. It's probably an offside against either Kamloops or a receiver from Prince George. So we'll see what the official call is here by the head official. So it's offside against the Broncos. So that the Kodiaks will take that penalty and leave themselves about a 2nd and 4. So good early break. Then the Kodiaks will get an extra down.
And we saw in week 1 some quick completions by Oskowski. Obviously, that helps a very young quarterback's confidence, especially first taste of junior football. Some positive gains from the previous drive. Hopefully can continue, sustain a drive here. Because, again, this is a very young team, and the sooner they can have that confidence or a boost to their confidence, the quicker that will translate to productivity, efficiency in the offensive zone. Oskowski drops back, looks to his left, hurls it up. Number 17, Mitchell, just a few inches out of his grasp.
Yeah, good attempt there on second and medium, I would say, at 5 yards or so. So they took a shot. Corner had good coverage on the play. Oskowski threw the ball to where only his receiver was going to be able to catch that. He threw it to his outside shoulder. So threw the ball to where he was supposed to go. The safety was not in a position to help out. He recognized the single coverage. Unfortunately, ball was just a little bit out of reach.
And so Mitchell, the intended target on that play, now behind the long snapper as he anticipates the snap to punt this away. A two-returner set for the Broncos on this one. As the ball goes up and over Mitchell's head, he runs back to the 5-yard line and gets tackled down to about the 2 or 3-yard line. So definitely not what you want to be seeing. We saw on that kick kick or punt return for the Kodiaks, a misplay, a huge misplay that could definitely result in a touchdown for the Kamloops Broncos if they play their cards right on offense.
Yeah, costly mistake for the Kodiaks there after the bad snap went over the head of the kicker there. So big break here as we're 9:14 left of the first quarter. Big first break here for the Broncos to open the scoring.
Reed Van Koenen in the shotgun on a first and goal scenario for the Broncos. Is he quick handoff number 24, and they are in for the touchdown. Kamloops Broncos number 24, Cameron Gagorchik with the score.
Yeah, he just ran off tackle there, opens the scoring up, and Cam, first season was last year in the BCFC with the Broncos, and has the nickname Bam Bam, and that's, you can see that's his style of running. He's got a low center of gravity, and he's very good, shifty, so it's good to see him open for the Broncos, open the scoring, and get some points on the board early.
Absolutely, and we'll see if the point after attempt is in favor of the Broncos on this one. Could take a early 7-0 lead, and the ball is up and splits the upright, so it will be a 7-0 lead for the Broncos early on in the first quarter here at Massage Place Stadium.
Yeah, if you're the Broncos, you're excited by the start. You capitalize on the mistake by the Kodiaks on special teams. If you're the Prince George, you're in front of your fans. Your fans want to cheer, get behind you. Maybe a little bit of nerves, and sometimes that may have resulted of the bad snap there. So if you're the Kodiaks, you want to settle down, just play football. Lots of time left on the clock here, and then just get yourself centered and play some good football the rest of tonight.
Absolutely, and both teams getting set up for the kickoff. This just reminds me of week one. Valley came out, scored the opening points with a field goal. Kodiaks came right back on the ensuing drive, ended up matching those points. So we might see if that might be a habit of this young team, matching points whenever they're scored against them. Obviously a very strong half down in Valley as Kamloops kicks off. Noah Lank gets the bounce off the turf, starts running towards the left side of the field, and goes up and over, gets tackled around the 36-yard line as the Kodiaks go back on offense.
Good return there by Lankin. You can see he made one cut, which is always what coaches like to see. Made one cut, went up straight upfield. Nothing annoys coaches more than when guys run north-south. So he was very close to be getting into the open field and maybe breaking one. We'll see what happens the rest of tonight, but that's a good sign for the returns team.
Absolutely, and Liam Oskowski breaks the huddle under center for the first time tonight. Takes the snap, a handoff to number 10 for the Kodiaks, and he rumbles to about the 42-yard line. Number 10, Keanu Brown, said to be a bit of a stud on this young Kodiaks roster.
Yeah, he's a new player there that the Kodiaks have just brought in. The coaches and staff speak very highly of him, say he's a pretty exciting player. A lot were comparing him to Malcolm Miller from the Okanagan Sun last year, who was the Offensive Player of the Year in the conference. So what should be an exciting player for the fans here to watch.
Oskowski back in the shotgun formation. He takes the snap, scans the field, looks left, hits number 86. Andrew Brown with the reception. A gain of a few yards. It's a third and short situation. So out comes the punter, but certainly a completion is good, especially for young Liam Oskowski to have that confidence. Obviously, Andrew Brown had a big gain down in Valley on that opening or second drive of the game for the Kodiaks, but we'll see if Oskowski can find some chemistry early on with some of his receivers. I feel that chemistry is yet to really be established early on in this season with them being such a young team. As Mitchell takes the long snap, looks left, starts, tucks it, and that's a first down by Mitchell. First down, a trick play. Saw the opening, nodded a little bit, tucked it, and rumbled for the first down as the Prince George Kodiaks get the ball up to their 50-yard line. Ball placed on the left hash mark.
Special teams are a huge part, and that's a big play for the Kodiaks. And that, a lot of times when that call happens, it's based off what the punt return team is doing. So he might have saw something there, knew he could tuck it, had the corner, got the first down, moved the sticks for the Kodiaks.
That's just situational awareness, I think. Seeing the opening, and flag on the Kamloops Broncos as a member of their defensive line just burst through the offensive line before the ball was even snapped.
Yeah, the Broncos there were trying to time a blitz as they were bringing pressure on first down there. So sometimes you get the timing right, but unfortunately if the team goes on second or third hut, you end up coming a little across the line of scrimmage early. So free 5 yards for the Kodiaks, and now they're in good shape at midfield.
Kodiaks, midfield, ball in the left hash mark. Oskowski calls his cadence, drops back, looks left, slings it to number 80, and it's a reception into the Kamloops zone as they're at about the 48-yard line.
That was Andy Bansel with the reception there. Oskowski's, that throw and even the one before to Brown, he's doing a good job of standing in the pocket and throwing to his guys. And that one, again, he hung in there, waited for the receiver to break open, gains good enough yardage for the first down, and now the Kodiaks are into Bronco territory.
And he's getting plenty of time in the pocket. We saw down in Valley his ability to shift the pocket, feel that pressure from the backside, but he's getting plenty of time from his offensive line early on in this game to find those receivers wide open along the sidelines. He takes the snap, hands it off to Keanu Brown. He's running 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Kodiaks!
What a great round there, and you saw the acceleration as he just got into the open field. And that's exactly what they needed, and they just ran. It's just a straight, simple counterplay the Kodiaks ran. But you mentioned it before about running behind an offensive line, and the pull-in tackle in that case was Will St. Hubert, who's just a stud on the Kodiaks offensive line. So that's exactly the response the Kodiaks needed to even the score after this extra point. So great job there by the O-line, and what a run to tie this game up after the extra point.
And that is a Grand Trunk Tavern touchdown by Keanu Brown, a stud, as we said, for this team, and he proved exactly why as he just found the sideline, beat the defense to it, turned upfield, and that is the very first touchdown in Prince George Kodiak's history.
That's a huge moment, and that's something that fans will remember for a long time as the first touchdown in Kodiak history, and it brought the fans to their feet here. The extra point is good, so tie game here at Massich, and what a way to respond after the Broncos open up the scoring.
And it is a tie game, 7-7. We're going to take a quick break. More Kodiaks football coming up. Big touchdown there by Keanu Brown for the Prince George Kodiaks as he ties this game up 7-7 here at Massich Place Stadium, taking on the Kamloops Broncos. As number 28, Noah Schneider, a Yorkton, Saskatchewan product, kicks off to the Broncos, up and over. As the Kamloops Broncos receiver picks it up in his own end zone, brings it out to about just inside his own 10-yard line. A beautiful kick by Schneider, showing his kicking ability. and it pins the Kamloops Broncos in deep in their own zone.
Yeah, good kick there by Schneider. The returner misplayed that. Not sure if he may have lost it in the sun, as the sun is still coming down here. But you see early in this game, and the Canadian game especially, is how critical special teams are. And we've seen a bad snap that led to Bronco points. Now a kickoff that pins the Broncos deep. So the coaches stress this all the time, but special teams plays massive for this in this game, and the Broncos are now scrimmaging deep in their own territory.
Certainly a unique situation here as the Kodiaks have them pinned deep, a handoff on the opening play. A quick tackle, a little bit of a dance move from number 24 of the Broncos.
I think he got only about a couple of yards on that particular play, so short game for the Broncos. Kodiaks filled that one really well, so big play here on second down as the Broncos don't want to kick from standing in their own end zone. So Kodiaks are going to look to hold here, get their offense back on the field.
Likely a passing situation for the Broncos. We'll see how the secondary for the Kodiaks react to this as the quarterback drops back. A quick out hit. Number 17 hauls it in and just looks like he managed to stay in for the first down. Number 17, Colton Meikle.
Yeah, great catch there by Colton Meikle. Dangerous throw there by Reed Van Coffet, but that's what he laid in there nicely. He's trying to throw that to the really wide side of the field, so if he's not careful or he underthrows that one, Kodiak could easily intercept it. So good touch throw there by the Broncos. They moved the chains on second and long, still trying to get out from their deep in their own territory.
And certainly some tall receivers on Kamloops going up against a relatively shorter secondary unit in the Kodiaks, so certainly came in handy, that height on that play as number 24 gets hauled down in the backfield. Number 93, Zachary Cormier with the play, with the tackle behind the line of scrimmage as he gestures to the crowd, blowing them some kisses, thanking them for the support early on in this game.
Yeah, Cormier was coming off the edge there on a blitz off the far side of the field, the Kodiak's right-hand side. That's why he was able to get in there, get to the running back, hold the game, or actually make it a loss on the play of about 5. So he was in the backfield very fast on the blitz. Now it's once again second and long for the Broncos.
2nd and 15, Vancouver takes the snap, drops back, starts running to his left side, looking for a receiver as he hurls it up, looking for number 11, and it's a catch along the sideline.
I think that's Evan Guizo on the far side. There is a flag on the play, and it's in the direction of what might be illegal contact against the Kodiaks. We'll see where it was thrown, but it's right in front of the Kodiak bench here. So the Broncos are obviously hoping that's what it is, and they'll decline this penalty if that's the case. Usually the players start walking back if it was against the Broncos, so this tells me it probably is a Prince George penalty. It is. So the Broncos will decline that penalty, and that's a big gain now, as now they're into Prince George territory. So good job by the Broncos offense, a couple big plays, especially on second and long. Real quick, they're past midfield and just barely into Kodiak territory.
And Vancouver obviously finding a way to buy himself some time, leaving the pocket, escaping to the left side, directing his receivers, head towards the sideline, and he finds his receiver hugging the sideline for the reception as they line up just past midfield. Their first down situation. He hands off. No, it's a runs to his left side, directing traffic, gain of about 8 yards, maybe it looks like.
I think he's pretty close to that first down, so he might have even got 10. Yeah, he did get enough for the first down. So good run there by Vancona. And what he's watching for is how the defensive end plays that. So he has the option of handing that ball off to the running back. In that case, what you probably saw was the defensive lineman, the defensive end flatten out, and that means he pulled the ball, ran it himself, and got enough for the first down.
And the right decision, obviously, as the Broncos first down, back-to-back, handoff to number 24, who scoots right, dodges traffic, gets picked up and put to the turf. But it will be close to a first down again for the Broncos.
Yeah, good. He should have about 7 on that play. That was Grigoric again. And you could see his cut. He cut right there. He didn't have an initial hole there. The Kodiaks did a good job up front. But after he was able to make a quick cut to his right, and got about 7 or 8 yards on the play. So good run on first down for Bam Bam for the Broncos.
And that's obviously Kodiaks need to be doing a better job at maintaining the edges of the line there. Obviously, he gets to the line of scrimmage, quickly scoots it as he gets the ball again up for, and that will be a first down run by Gagorchik.
Yeah, really nice run there. That time they brought nothing fancy. They went straight ahead on the run. They brought Chris Finden on the jet sweep motion action as well from right to left, and that kind of froze the Kodiak defense. So the Broncos are throwing a couple different looks at the Kodiaks right now, so they'll be making adjustments, but good run there on moving the chains again for the Broncos.
And they're just chipping away at the field against the Kodiaks, wearing them down. That's exactly what the Huskers did in week 1, and that showed the inexperience of this Kodiaks team as they take the snap. Once again, the 24 wide open hole there as he gets tackled from behind. That will be another first down, it looks like, for Gagorchik.
Yeah, it should be it'll be another first down, another run by Gagorchik, and he's just carving it up right now. The Kodiaks actually got good penetration there on the defensive line, but unfortunately they weren't able to corral the running back on the play. So good response by Kamloops. This is a long drive that started, if you remember, deep in their own territory. They've chewed up a lot of clock, and now we're in position to score some points.
We'll see if there might be a similar play-action play as we saw earlier now that they ran Gagorchik, and right there he pulls the handoff. Van Kunit heads up, gets down to about the 2-yard line.
Yeah, and you saw number 95 was the defensive end on that particular play. In that case, Van Kunit was able, again, to pull it around, get the corner on him. The defensive end in that case can't flatten out. He can't turn his shoulder pads and come down the line of scrimmage. So that's something I'm sure Marvin Pope and the defense for the Kodiaks will make adjustments to, because they just have to play that soundly.
And the Kamloops Broncos knocking on the door of the goal line as Van Kunit lines up in the shotgun formation. Gagorchik right there behind him. He drops back, looks for the quick hit, and that is a touchdown to number 17 for the Kamloops Broncos as they get their lead right back.
Yeah, good. Colton Miko was the receiver on that one. Just ran a little out pattern. Van Conant threw exactly where he needed to throw it. That's a good drive by the Broncos. And again, you saw the Kodiaks respond to the Broncos touchdown with a good, pretty solid drive of their own. That one could have not gone well for the Broncos based on their starting field position. They were able to respond. Great job there by the Broncos on that drive. They take the lead back here as we're in the last 30 seconds or so of the first quarter.
And yeah, as you said, going the entire length of the field to piece together a scoring drive of their, as they now take a 14-7 lead with 30 and a half seconds remaining here in the first quarter. We will take a quick break, more action when we get back. After that scoring play by the Kamloops Broncos, taking a 14-7 lead here in the first quarter, Marvin Pope quickly calls his defense back over as the Broncos go for an onside kick. Looks as if they recognized a weakness in the Kodiak special teams. Line up for an onside kick. We'll see. I'm not sure whether that was quite long. It was long enough.
Yeah, it was definitely long enough, and the coaches might have seen something upstairs on that particular one, because that might have been a call that they saw something, maybe one of the line guys for the Kodiaks leaving early. So once again, you see how big special teams are, and that's a deflating play for the Kodiaks, as they thought they were going to get the ball back and get their offense on the field. Now the Broncos are scrimmaging again in Kodiak territory.
And and hardly enough time to even catch their breath after the last scoring play as the Kodiaks defense back onto the field. A quick meeting with Marvin Pope, defensive coordinator. That's a sweep play to Chris Finden. He gets brought down in the backfield. Ball now back inside the Kamloops side of the field.
Yeah, really surprised there wasn't a flag on that play. There was a lot of early movement on the play, so I'm surprised. Couldn't tell if the Kodiaks jumped, but they might have been drawn. But surprised there was no flag on the play. But good job there by the Kodiaks front, pushing Finden back for a loss of about 6. They've got him in second and long again, so we'll see what happens on the next play.
And that does bring to the conclusion of the first quarter. We will take a quick break. Second quarter action coming up after this. Back here at Massage Place Stadium as the second quarter is about to get underway. This Kodiaks game powered by the Prestige Treasure Cove Resort. Some exciting football already, as we saw in the first 15 minutes here in Prince George, as the Kamloops Broncos hold a 14-7 lead. As the clock starts ticking into the second quarter, Kamloops on offense, going broadcast right to left, just past midfield. As Van Conant drops back, some pressure from the Kodiaks. He slings it up, looking for number 85, Chris Finden. And he tiptoes along the sideline and brings it in, as he gets it down to about the 12-yard line.
That's a massive throw there by Van Conant to Finden down the right-hand side, and he threw that really well in a position where only Finden was going to catch that. I was afraid there because you could see the sunlight on the far side of the field there, so Chris might have been looking right back up into the sun, but what a catch there. He's able to keep his feet in bounds. Massive play by the Broncos offense, and they're knocking on the door.
And yes, as mentioned, a few of those big, tall spruce trees behind the stadium here at Massage Place, causing some breaks of sunlight onto the field. So a tough catch for Chris Finden, but certainly a big catch as number 24 gets the handoff, jukes around the Kodiaks defense, gets brought down to about the 1 or 2 yard line, and they're right back on the doorstep.
Another good run there by Grigorczyk. He's taken the ball a lot in this first quarter and a half, and I think you touched on it the last time after they got the onside kick back. You got to wonder how much this Kodiak defense has left, as they were on the field a lot in that first quarter and now here into the start of the second quarter. So good job by Kamloops. They're moving the ball well, and now the Kodiaks need to come up big on defense.
And we saw it once they started getting Grigorczyk rumbling. Van Conant ends up pulling the handoff, runs, gets some positive yards. So it's going to be tough for the Kodiaks to come up with a stop, but it will be a big stop if they do. As Van Conant looks back, drops, hands off to 24, and an easy touchdown for Grigorczyk.
Yeah, he went in there untouched. Great run there by Grigorczyk, and the Broncos expand their lead. So for the Kodiaks, I think they need to get back to the drawing board. But you can see a lot of times things start off the run, and what happens is when the Broncos have been able to establish the run as they have here in the first quarter and a bit, it just sets up the pull action by Van Conant, sets up the play action and throws downfield to guys like Finden and Mikkel. So the Kodiaks probably are going to be saying we have to stop the run, force the Broncos to take the ball to the air.
And the Kodiaks, as the Kamloops Broncos end up kicking the point after, go up 21-7 into the second quarter here. What will be important for the Kodiaks is a sustained offensive drive. Give that defense a break so then Marvin Pope can rework his defensive scheme on the sideline, give their defense a bit of a break, get some water, get a breath.
And sometimes I'm sure the coaches on the Kodiak sidelines are telling their guys to settle down too, because I know I've seen a few of the Kodiak players in the warm-up and before the game, like they were nervous. Like now you've got a quarter under your belt and a little bit here at Massage, and now you're saying to yourself, guys, okay, the first quarter's done. We've got a lot of football left. Let's just settle down and play sound, fundamental football. Let's make tackles, stay on our blocks, catch the ball, the stuff that all of these guys are fully capable of doing. And that's probably the message that Keon Raymond, Marvin Pope, and the staff are saying to the boys.
And the Kamloops Broncos line up for the kickoff as they will kick right to left. Prince George Kodiak's 2 receivers back to return. Ball gets kicked to the left side. Marquise Banks with the return, starts heading east, tries to juke a few defenders. I don't think he got any positive yards, and east to west, not what you want to be seeing on a kick return.
Yeah, usually that seam, like when you first make the first couple steps to your left or to your right, that's okay. But what happens is that at some point you have to plant your foot and get upfield. Like you said, you can't just run east-west. At some point, these guys are too fast. The cover teams are too fast. They're going to get down there and make the tackles. At some point, you got to plant your foot, hit the hole, and get north-south and get upfield.
And some of that is just going to be the inexperience of these players. Perhaps we're able to get away with that in the high school level. Not so much the case here at the BCFC. As Liam Oskowski takes the snap for the Kodiaks offense, drops back, looks for Noah Lank, gets hit over the middle, and that is a huge reception by Lank. He gets it up to about the 36-yard line for a first down.
Yeah, really nice play there by Oskowski as he stood in there, threw the ball. There's an injured Bronco on the play there, but Lang with a good catch. He probably thought, he knew he was going to get a hit there. There was a host of Broncos that were right there. So, but good on him. He extended himself, made the play, made the catch, and now the Kodiaks are outside of the shadows of their own goalposts.
I think you always need to be ready to anticipate a hit when you're running over the middle. I know just from my experience, have taken a few pops over the middle. Concussions perhaps a result of a few of those, but as long as you're anticipating that hit, focus on bringing the ball in, securing it, and absorb that hit, you end up with plays much like the one we just saw from Noah Lank, a Prince George product.
Yeah, and the guys know they're going to get hit on that play, like you said, and that, therefore you might as well extend your hands. You might as well try and catch the ball. But the game has gotten a lot safer now for receivers, as if they're exposed or defenseless, that's going to get called all the time, and that's the good thing for safety in the sport. So that's all. That the receiver, good job there on the play. The injured Bronco is up on his feet, coming off on his own power. So good to see that as well.
Absolutely. So it will be a first down, 1st and 10 for the Prince George Kodiaks about the 36-yard line. They look to sustain this drive down by 14 against the Kamloops Broncos. A trips right formation. Jerome Erickson motions out to the left, a handoff to number 25, and gets quickly wrapped up.
Good defensive push there by the Bronco front. Minimal gain on first down for the Kodiaks. On offense, they're probably thinking the same thing too. Let's establish the run. Let's get our running game going. They got a lot of talented guys. We saw Keanu Brown with that long touchdown run in the first half. Setting up the run on offense is exactly what you're trying to do. It eats some clock. It wears the other team's defense down, and I'm sure the Kodiaks are going to try and do that in this drive and throughout the night.
So it will be a second and what looks to be 8 yards for the Kodiaks as Liam Oskowski, 2-back formation this time, hands it off to Jerome Erickson. He scoots, tries to go upfield right away, but he gets hauled down behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, well played there by the defensive end. We're going to see if we can see his number on this near side. He's sort of to the side of us now, but he made a great play there as he just blew that play up in the backfield. There was nowhere in that case for Erickson to cut. If he tried to cut, he would have been tackled as he was there. If he bounced, he might have even lost more yards than he did on that one. So good sound, fundamental defense there by the Broncos as they get their defense off the field and their punt return team on, and soon to be their offense.
And it looked to be some congestion also in the Kodiaks backfield from that 2-back formation. So hopefully able to clean things up on the formational side of things as this game goes on, as Mitchell back to punt to the Kamloops Broncos. Tries to run to his right, trying to go make some magic again, gets the kickoff as it gets down to the midfield, number 15, trying to make something happen over the return. Gets brought out into the Prince George end of the field around the 50-yard line, a flag on the play.
Should be probably a no yards call against the Kodiaks based on where it was thrown, and Jack Bellefontaine with a good return there for the Broncos. So they're trying to, Kodiaks are trying that rugby-style kick, and you can see the kicker comes out to the right. So in that case, he basically has a two-way go. So if he thinks he can get to the sticks, he's going to run, try and get the first out. If he can't, and the Broncos played that well there, then he's designed to kick the ball. So for fans that have watched for a long time, Brendan Van Nistelrooy was with the Okanagan Sun a couple of years back. He did exactly that. Spent some time with the BC Lions as well. It's a play where it's a read for the punter, but unfortunately in that case the kick was kicked off, but the Broncos did a good job.
And offensive coordinator Ced Cunningham has the Kodiaks offense all huddled on the sideline, clearly trying to figure things out as they are down 21-7. The Kamloops Broncos on offense inside the PG end of the field, and it's a handoff to Gagorchik once again, and that's close to another first down for the Broncos.
Yeah, Gagorchik should have about 6 or 7 on that play, just straight ahead running. In that case, the Kodiaks were actually in a pretty good position defensively on that play. They actually got about 7 or 8 on that play, so good run there. But the Kodiaks were actually in a good position to make that a far less of a gain. That was just a case of a missed tackle on the far side on the left-hand side of that Kodiak defense. So good run by the Broncos, but the Kodiaks much better sound defensive system there.
And you've got big guys running at you, and you're looking for a small target behind all that in Gagorchik as he gets stopped but keeps on going. Stopped for a moment, swept to his left side, and it's a positive gain. So the ability to not give up, keep his feet moving, and it turns into a first down for the Broncos.
Yeah, you see the change of direction there by Gagorchik. In that case, the Kodiaks were coming with a blitz on defense. They were able to get penetration. Gagorchik had nowhere else to go. And in that case, the defense has to stay in their lane. So when Gagorchik bounces like that, the rest of the cavalry is there for the Kodiaks. In that case, that particular play, they weren't. Now another first down for the Broncos.
And the ball lined at the 29-yard line in the Prince George end. It's a sweep play to number 88. He gets hauled down behind the line of scrimmage. That's exactly what you want to be seeing from your defense if you're a Kodiaks fan.
Yeah, Nicholas Tremblay played that very well for the Kodiaks, number 27. So he was right in there on that play. There was nowhere to go for the Bronco back who was running the jet sweep action. Big play there by the Kodiak defense. They'll make their coaching staff much happier. And now it's 2nd and long again for the Broncos.
And it's just building off of that is going to be important for the Kodiaks.
I'd watch the vertical route here from Prince George on the deep to Findon or one of the other receivers.
And Conant sweeps to his right, finds number 88 on a comeback route. And he gets brought down about the 25-yard line on the far side of the field.
Decision time now for Kamloops is they could kick a field goal from here. They're within field goal range. We'll see what they do. Didn't get enough for the first down. Got about 7 on that play, so they're still looking at about 3rd and 8 or so, 3rd and 7. So looks like the Broncos are in a gambling mood here, and they're going to go for this one.
Well, and it's worked for them so far. So if it keeps on working, why stop? And Van Conant, quarterback for the Broncos, has his offense still on the field for a 3rd down situation. We'll see what they do. It's a play action. Van Conant sweeps to his right, looks deep. That's an incomplete turnover on downs as the Kodiaks offense will take over.
Very well played there by the Kodiak defense there. The Broncos were trying to run play action, and that's good sound defense that they didn't bite on the play action pass. Probably not. They weren't going to on a 3rd and 8 situation there, but good job there by the Kodiak defense. They get the hold. They didn't give up any points, and they hopefully will get a lift for their bench and their offense as they'll take over on downs.
And as said Cunningham, the offensive coordinator for the Prince George Kodiaks, had his offense huddled up along the sideline. We'll see what they come up with as they take to the field. First down from their own 26-yard line, ball on the left hash mark So Skowski calls out his cadence, hands off to Jean-Baptiste, and he scoots to his left, looks for some positive gain, and gets brought down just before their 40-yard line along the Kamloops sideline.
Should be enough for a first down, and it is for the Kodiaks. Good start for this drive for them. As you can see, the back was able to bounce there out to his left. Good change of direction there. Now the Kodiaks get a first down, and hopefully what they continue with this drive.
Liam Oskowski gets the play from his sideline. Kodiaks break their huddle, line up again, ball lined up on the left hash mark. This time they're about the 38-yard line.
Timeout here for the Kodiaks. Coach Keon Raymond probably saw something he didn't like there, so he used one of his timeouts here, and we'll get the offense over and clean up whatever he didn't like maybe.
6:32 remaining in the second quarter here at Massich Place Stadium. A packed house. As said earlier, I don't think I've ever seen this stadium as full. And not only that, now as I look to my right here of the stadium, fans along the fence finding seating, bringing lawn chairs, picnic tables, blankets, you name it. Quite the atmosphere here in Prince George for the very first Prince George Kodiaks game.
Yeah, there is not a seat to be found from what we could see here to our left or our right, like you mentioned. And this is something that is so good to see. The fans are over there having a good time. There's a lot of stuff happening at the stadium for in-game entertainment, and it's just awesome to see it. I know this stuff, this amps the players up, this amps the coaches up. They like playing in front of a packed house like this, so it's really exciting to see. And like I said, an awesome support by the community of Prince George.
And I myself, just being in the midst of all of this, I know I got goosebumps as the team came out onto the field, as Liam Oskowski and the Kodiaks offense get the snap, hand off to Marquise Banks as he gets tripped up just past the 40-yard line.
Minimal gain there on first down. Broncos played that pretty well. Tried to just run off the right-hand side, so good penetration there by the Broncos, and that's a short gain, so second and long for Prince George.
6:13 and counting here in the second quarter. As Kodiaks now line up along the right hash mark, 40-yard line as they approach midfield. Oskowski takes a snap, drops back, runs to his left, avoids some tackles, and lunges forward for what looks to be a very close first down.
Yeah, he's very close to the first down. We can't see where the officials marked his foot because the Kodiak bench is right there. So now they're going to place the ball. We'll see it is a first down. So good second effort there by Oskowski there. That was just sheer second effort there. And that's why he was able to get that first down. So good job there.
And that's very much like we saw in week one, his ability to sense that pressure, not hesitate in tucking the ball and taking off. And we see what the 6'5" quarterback can do with his feet as they now line up for first down. Trips right, receiver in. A little bit of hesitation as Oskowski regathers his offense.
So this is going to be a delay of game, so that's unfortunate for the Kodiaks there. What they're trying to do with that early motion is trying to see how the Broncos are react. So you'll see the receivers for Prince George coming to the line of scrimmage, seeing how the Broncos defense reacts to it. Then they reset back. Unfortunately for that time, just too long for the Prince George offense. They have to take a 5-yard penalty. And we've got, so while we have a second, the out-of-town scoreboard, the Rams are leading the Valley Huskers in Chilliwack 3-0 in that game down in Chilliwack. And the out-of-town scoreboard as well on the island has the Rebels leading the Raiders 10-0 in West Shore and Langford at Starlight Stadium.
Offense back underway. Oskowski bobbles the snap, looks to pass, jumps around the pocket as he's getting hauled down by the Broncos defense.
Yeah, that play there, the snap was fine there, and I think what happened is Oskowski just took his eyes off the ball. It ended up going to the ground. He was able to pick it up, but what happens is when you have to look down to pick up the ball, as he did there, your eyes lose you lose your sight lines down the field. So it's very hard for a quarterback after he picks the ball up, has to look down to pick it up, to once again regain his focus, find a receiver. So unfortunate break there, as I think he just took his eye off the ball on the snap.
And when you're 6'5", that's a long ways to
It is
to
a
bend
long
over.
way down. It is a long way down.
Second down for the Kodiaks. Receivers in motion. Oskowski drops back, looks deep. It's 86, looks to haul it in, and he does, gets tripped up around the 15-yard line. What a catch by number 86, Andrew Brown, for the Kodiaks.
Yeah, great throw there by Oskowski. He just stood right in the pocket there. The Broncos were coming. They had some pressure on him. He knew he was probably going to take a hit. He stood in there, delivered a strike right down the middle of the field to Brown. That throw was right on the money. Massive play for the Kodiaks as they like to get some points here before the half.
Brown having no trouble getting behind the defense. It's staying behind the defense after the catch that he's had some struggles with, but nonetheless a first down, handoff to Jean-Baptiste, and a quick wrap-up around the 20-yard line.
Well played there by the Broncos front, especially their two inside guys, their two defensive tackles. Not much room there for Baptiste to go anywhere, so good job there by the Broncos after the big play there by Oskowski to Brown, pushing the Kodiaks back for a loss of about 2 on the play. So big second down play here for the Kodiak offense.
The Kodiaks faithful getting behind their offense, trying to cheer their boys on as we're inside 3 minutes here in the second quarter. Oskowski drops back, looks to his right, scans left. Quick hit to Jean-Baptiste as he's running towards the goal line, and just short.
Really good there, play there. He's just short of the goal line with Baptiste. Oskowski hung in there again on that one. The referee was very close to throwing a delay of game penalty as the play clock got down to just about 0. So Oskowski has to watch that, because you don't want to take a delay of game penalty, because that could be a loss of down or a 10-yard penalty in the final 3 minutes. So good job there by Oskowski. Baptiste was able to leak out, made a really nice reception. Broncos linebacker wasn't able to flow and make a tackle there, and now the Kodiaks are about a yard or 2 out from the goal line.
Right on the doorstep with 2:40 remaining in the second quarter here at Massage Place Stadium. The crowd cheering on their black and gold Kodiaks. We'll see what the offense decides to do on what will be a first and goal situation. So a first down on the previous play. We'll see what they come up with as they still are huddled up. I believe the officials have yet to actually whistle in the play.
And there's an injured Bronco on the far side of the field too. That's why we had a little bit of a delay there. So if I'm the Kodiaks here, I'm using Oskowski's big size, big frame, get him under center, or run the ball, pick a spot, maybe get behind big Will Sade Hubert on the left-hand side, tuck your head down and dive forward. That's what I would do, but I guess that's why we're sitting up here and not down on the field.
Well, and actually Oskowski on the sideline as number 4 Andrew Johnson behind center, and he dives in for the touchdown.
Great drive there by the Kodiaks. It was capped off with the quarterback sneak, not by Oskowski, but with number, I think it was number 14. Or was
number 4 Andrew Johnson.
So Andrew Johnson,
a receiver.
So he's probably, you never know. A lot of the receivers have played quarterback at younger levels in high school or community football. So he's obviously looked like he's ran that sneak many times there. Good job by Johnson getting the Kodiaks in the end zone here before the half, and that's a big drive by the Kodiaks to get some points and close this gap.
2:22 remaining in the second quarter as the Kodiaks line up for the point after, trying to make this a one score game here in Prince George. A near block, but certainly splits the uprights as the Kodiaks narrow the Kamloops lead. Broncos leading 21-14 here at Massage Place Stadium. We're going to take a quick 30-second break. More action when we get back. George Kodiaks get ready to kick off to the Kamloops Broncos after a scoring drive that led to a touchdown by number 4, Andrew Johnson, a receiver but in at quarterback on the play to narrow this score to a Kamloops lead of 21-14 with 2:22 remaining here in the second quarter. Noah Schneider to kick the ball. And the ball is up to the Broncos. It looks to be number 33 for the Broncos. Takes the kick, return, gets brought down just before the 20-yard line as the Broncos offense takes the field once again.
Yeah, really nice downfield coverage there by the Kodiak special team units. They stayed in their lanes. They made a really nice play there on that one. George Yoso made a really nice tackle on that one. Broncos will be scrimmaging. They probably would love to have been around more than 35 or better field position this, but they're sitting looking now thinking with 2:15 left that they might be able to maybe get some points here before the half.
Well, and the other thing also, we just saw a sustained drive for the Kodiaks. We'll see how well rested the Kodiaks defense is. A much-needed break that I'm sure they were wanting to have more consistently, but here we are. We'll see how they respond to the Broncos as Van Conant takes a snap. Play action, looks for number 17. It gets hauled in along the sideline as he keeps running, and a flag on the play as he gets hauled down inside the Prince George zone.
That's a massive play there by Colton Meikle. He made a great play on that one as he just used his body there, his big long arms. The defender for the Kodiaks was in a pretty good position to make a play. Unfortunately for him, Meikle just was able to get his hands on the ball, get his arms extended, and make a great catch. And that's, again, you've touched on it a couple times in this game, is the size of some of these Bronco receivers. And you saw it right there. There's nothing wrong with the coverage there by the Kodiaks. Colton Meikle just made a really nice play.
And this opens up the playbook now that you're inside Prince George's end of the field. You've got 2 minutes remaining in the half. Certainly now you're not in a rush trying to get past midfield, so lots of opportunities for the Broncos to take their time and just chip away at the remaining yardage as the officials place the ball around the 36-yard line.
That's a Kodiak penalty on that one. That'll be declined, so that will move the stick. So that play will stand on for the Broncos. And you're right, the Kodiak Broncos now have the clock at their advantage. There's 2 minutes right on the nose here, on the clock here. So the Broncos have all kinds of time. That throw enabled them to expand that playbook, like you mentioned. So we'll see what they do here on first down. If they want to go back to Grigorczyk on the ground or stay aerial with Van Conant and Mike Meikle and Chris Findon on the outside.
The clock starts ticking, 1:50 in the second quarter. Van Conant lines up in the shotgun with Grigorczyk in behind him. There's a handoff to Grigorczyk, and he gets tripped up behind the line of scrimmage. A quick tackle, a much-needed tackle by the Prince George Kodiaks.
Really nice play there by Marcellus Pope as he just knifed his way through in there and made a really nice play. He got right inside of the blocker there, tripped up Grigorczyk. That's a big play for the Kodiaks there on defense, limiting the gain or actually pushing the Broncos back about a yard here. So second and 11 situation here for the Broncos.
And Marcellus Pope, the son of defensive coordinator Marvin Pope, comes into this game leading the team in tackles with 7. So very active on the defensive side of the ball for the Kodiaks, and we saw just what he can do there as Van Conant drops back, runs around the pocket, heads to his right side, looks for a quick hit along the sideline, but it's not there as the ball skips, but there is a flag on the play.
This will be a holding call against the Broncos as Van Conant was under pressure there, and he started to scramble, and sometimes when a quarterback goes to his right, then his left, then comes back to his right, the offensive lineman doesn't necessarily know where he is. So in that particular case, an offensive lineman for the Broncos was grabbing a Kodiak defender. So Kodiaks will decline this penalty. That'll bring up third down. And once again, decision time for the Broncos.
This Kamloops Broncos team has been gambling on third down up until this point. We'll see what mood they're in with.
I'm not sure if they're sending out the punt team to try and pin the Broncos deep. It would be a pretty long field goal, probably in the neighborhood of about 43 yards or so. So it would be a long field goal attempt. You don't want to miss these. because there's a dangerous returner in the end zone waiting to bring it out. So we'll see. It looks like they're going to punt the ball, so they're probably going to try and pin the Kodiaks deep here before the half.
And Keon Raymond, the second back to return the punt. Like I said, 1:03 remaining here in the second quarter as the ball gets up, end over end. Keon Raymond catches it around his 3-yard line, looks to bring the ball up, but gets just past the 10-yard line. We're inside the final minute here in the second quarter as the Kodiaks offense takes the field.
Got good kick there as they were trying to pin the Kodiaks deep in their own territory. They probably wanted that kick a little bit more towards the boundary there to the sidelines. So good return there by Keon Raymond II as he was able to get some positive yards. We'll see what the Kodiaks do here on offense. They're deep in their own territory. Both teams have at least one timeout, that I believe, so they're going to be able to decide on what they want to do on first down. If Kamloops gets us, and somebody looks like they called one right here, but if they get a stop on first down, look for the Broncos to potentially use the timeout. I think they're going to reset the clock because there was some after the kick. There was probably about 7 or 8 seconds that looked to have came off it. So referees are talking right now, and I think that's exactly what they're talking about.
Obviously, the Kodiaks will want as much time as they possibly can. We saw how quickly the Broncos could get themselves out from their own end into the opposing end of the field on that last offensive drive. We'll see whether the Kodiaks can have just as much luck as the Broncos did, as Oskowski and his offense are pinned deep in their own end. Keanu Brown in at running back, so we'll also see whether that threat plays something into this drive as Oskowski calls his cadence, drops back, looks right, hurls it up to Lank, and it is brought in by Lank down to about the 40-yard line. That's exactly what you want to see.
Big play there as Oskowski dropped that one right between two defenders for the Broncos. Dangerous throw. Once again, bang on the money for him. Kodiaks are trying to move here as the clock. They didn't add any time to the clock before, so the clock will start here as soon as the referee blows it in. They got to get moving.
Bit of a hurry-up offense for the Kodiaks. Oskowski drops back, scans his field, runs to his left. Eyes still looking downfield, slings it to the sideline. It's an incomplete pass intended for number 13, Jerome Erickson.
Yeah, I like the call of the goal here for the Kodiaks on offense, because it would have been easy to just hand the ball off once or twice, try and punt the ball, but they're being very aggressive on offense there, trying to throw the ball in the last couple of plays. I like the aggression here by the Kodiaks on offense. Broncos played that one well. They weren't going to get anything behind their defense. Oskowski was trying to check that one down to Erickson, wasn't able to, so we'll see what happens here on second down.
2nd and 10 for the Kodiaks as the ball is placed on their own 41-yard line. Placed at the right hash mark. Oskowski takes the snap, drops back, looks right, steps up into the pocket, over to number 10, Keanu Brown. It'll be a gain of about 5 on the play.
Broncos get the hold that they need. Now they're going to call a timeout. So I saw head coach Braden Van Conet, the brother of quarterback Reed, take a timeout here. So the Broncos, even though there's only 12.2 seconds left, they might be playing either try and get a return or maybe a block or hoping for another snap to go over the Kodiak punter's head. So I like this call by head coach Braden Van Conet, trying to do something here, even though there's only 12 seconds on the clock here.
3rd down, just over 10 seconds remaining in the half. We'll see what the Kodiaks come up with.
I thought he did call timeout, but evidently he didn't.
It's a handoff to Keanu Brown as he dives up, gets tackled around the 50-yard line. Now we'll bring a conclusion to the opening half. Kamloops Broncos currently leading the Prince George Kodiaks 21-14. We've got the halftime show coming up after this.
Hotel, we have you and your family's comfort in mind. Relax in one of our 16 suites featuring king or queen-size beds and 36-inch TVs. Suites also include a mini fridge and other kitchen appliances to make your stay as comfortable as possible. During your stay in Pilot Mound, visit Wiser's Restaurant, our attached family-friendly restaurant and bar. It is the perfect location to host group meals, dine with the family, or unwind after a hockey game. Come in and meet our friendly staff offering daily specials on food and drinks, Wing Night Wednesdays, Buffet Fridays, and multiple TVs to watch the game. Wiser's is the place to be. Collins Hotel and Wiser's Restaurant and Bar, located across the street from Blackjack Stewart Arena off Highway 3 in Pilot Mountain.
Welcome back to Massage Place Stadium for the halftime show here for Prince George Kodiaks football on 99.3 Rewind Radio. For those also streaming through BCFC TV or TELUS Channel 1999 for this week's TELUS Game of the Week. Thank you for joining us. A opening half of 21-14 in favor of the Kamloops Broncos has the Kodiaks down by a single touchdown in their home opener of this 2022 BCFC season. A packed house here at Massage Place Stadium. Not a seat opened up. People along the fence line, blankets, lawn chairs, you name it. This is quite the experience here at Massage. Joined with me, the president of the BCFC, Tyler McLaren. What were your thoughts from that opening half here in Prince George?
It was a wild first half and exciting, and I'm sure the fans here, they were sitting on the edge of their seats, and those at home as well, and you saw a lot of big plays, and these teams are talented plays. Both quarterbacks, I thought, looked really good in that first half. Van Conant obviously has a little bit more experience than Oskowski, but I thought he made some good throws. Both teams had some success on the runs with their star backs. So for the first half of football ever in Prince George, I think the fans probably have loved what they've seen so far. Obviously, they'd like to see the hometown up on the scoreboard, but all in all, very entertaining first half of football.
Absolutely, and this kind of gives us an opportunity, you and I, to kind of chat about just the BCFC, because here in Prince George, this is something, it's new. The league itself, but also not only that, but the game itself. I mean, here in the high school system here in Prince George, throughout BC even, we're so used to seeing 4 downs, American rules, but with the BCFC, with the Prince George Kodiaks coming here to the city, we're now seeing true Canadian football at its finest. And I mean, nothing short but exciting here in the first half.
It's unreal. And the Canadian game, I mean, I love all football, whether it's 3-down football, 4-down football. But the nice thing that you see with it is explosive plays, and we saw a lot of those in the first half here. A lot of these guys, and for those that don't know, is a lot of these guys are either have gone from our level in this league and onto the CFL. And that's something that people should watch for. A guy like Will St. Hubert, example for the Kodiaks. I mean, if he doesn't have an opportunity at some point down the road, he's just a really good offensive lineman and has that type of potential. So it's also a real treat to see. If you think of guys like Javon Katoy from the BC Lions doing great things, played with the Langley Rams in 2018. So there's a lot of these guys that you might hear about and watch on televisions on the CFL field at some point down the road. So it's a real treat to see these guys when they're here and then follow where they go after they leave. So I think the fans are going to get behind this team, get behind the league, and probably start following any one of our 6 teams here in the conference, other 6 teams in the conference.
And I mean, you touched on it, the ability or the opportunity that is presented to these players to continue playing, to become a professional football player. Those obviously those connections, those relationships between the 3 junior football conferences that make up the Canadian Junior Football League with their respective CFL teams. I recall when my time playing in the OFC in Ontario with the Hamilton Hurricanes, just simply the fact I was on the team, I was territorial property of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Whether they were desperate enough to call me up at any given time is beyond me, but this does provide a very interesting opportunity for these players.
No question, and there's obviously the school route here, and I know the Kodiaks are big proponents, as a lot of our programs are across the conference, of encouraging education and having relationships with universities and colleges. But it's such a unique opportunity that there's guys from every walks of life. There's guys that Keon Raymond and Craig Breyer have touched on. Is football is such an inclusive sport where you could come from a rich background, poor background, be tall, be short, be skinny, be fat. Like there's kind of, it's for everybody. And the opportunities that present itself for a player to go to the CFL or get a scholarship and go to university, that's what it's all about. And as teams build their alumni, you start to have some great pride in guys that have come before you, guys like Andrew Harris in Nanaimo, who played so many years and now played 10 plus years or so in the CFL. Sean White, kicker for the Rams at one point, is kicking for the BC Lions. So it presents a lot of unique opportunities, and I hope the fans love it and get behind it.
And of course, as we turn our attention to midfield here at Massage Place Stadium, a giant check for those that have been following the team, the Kodiaks kickoff 50-50, a guaranteed jackpot of $200,000 being awarded to one lucky fan.
I don't think either one of us won it, so we'll be here for the second.
We will be here for the rest of the broadcast.
But somebody was obviously a lucky fan, and congratulations to the winner. That's an awesome experience. It'd be really cool if they were in the stadium tonight for sure.
Absolutely. But as you said, one lucky fan going home with $100,000. So congratulations to whomever that may be. If you're looking for ways to spend a few bucks, I can send you my email. You can e-transfer me however much you want. But certainly congratulations to the winner. We will take a quick break. More halftime show with Tyler McLaren when we get back.
Hotel, we have you and your family's comfort in mind. Relax in one of our 16 suites featuring king or queen-size beds with 36-inch TVs. Suites also include a mini fridge and other kitchen appliances to make your stay as comfortable as possible.
We thank those for
During your
tuning
stay
in
in Pilot
on
Mound,
99.3
visit Weiser's
Rewind
Restaurant,
Radio, as
our
well as
attached
those who are
family-friendly
watching the stream,
restaurant and
whether
bar.
it be through
It is the
BCFC
perfect
TV
location to
or
host group meals,
the TELUS
dine with the
game
family,
of
or
the
unwind
week
after
on
a
TELUS
party.
Channel 19.
Come in and meet our friendly
You're
staff
joined
offering
with
daily specials
Tyler
on food
McLaren,
and
the
drinks.
president of the BCFC.
Swing Night
We were
Wednesdays,
talking
Monday
earlier,
and
just
Fridays,
before we went off
and
to break,
multiple
about
TVs to
just
watch
the
the game.
opportunities that
Weiser's
this league
is the
has
place to be.
offer about for their players.
Collins Hotel and
but
Weiser's
also
Restaurant
just
and Bar,
perhaps just
located
give you a
across
general
the street
breakdown
from Blackjack
for those
Stewart
at
Arena
home that
off
that
Highway
are
3 in
unfamiliar
Pilot Mound.
with the league, with what junior football is about the BCFC.
Well, we're aged 18 to 22 years of age. We do have some 17-year-olds as well. So technically, if they're depending on where their birth date lands. So, and this year we have actually a couple 23-year-olds in our league because of the lost season of COVID that we had in 2020. So obviously, for those that don't know, we've got 6 other teams around the conference, and we pretty much now cover the entire province now that we're here in Prince George in the north. So what it is obviously guys that come from all across the country, and obviously you see players on the Kodiaks here from not only local programs and high schools, but different programs and high schools across the country. Some guys have come back from university because grades didn't work out, or they're going into a trade program or something. So it really presents, like I said, the opportunity for guys to really hone their skills, to grow up as men, to grow up to be good members of the community, and all of our teams do a good job. They're all very active in their communities as well, and that's a big part of it, to gain the support and that we see here tonight and here at Message.
And perhaps, I mean, as you mentioned, the local players, this is huge for the city of Prince George, because prior to this, there wasn't many, but there were a few players from Prince George that would have to go down to the Kamloops Broncos, the Okanagan Sun, even onto the island. So how important is it to have these teams to really just give that opportunity, that added opportunity for these players?
It's outstanding, and it's amazing to hear a couple local players that are from Prince George talk about this experience, the feeling they had before the game. Like I said, I had a conversation with Jerome Erickson before the game, and a local guy, and he was just pumped. You could see it in his voice, you could hear it in his voice, and see it in his eyes, and that's what it's all about. There's other guys that the Kodiaks are going to recognize who play around our league. We mentioned Chris Finden for the Kamloops Broncos. You're going to see another really talented Prince George player come back, and Garrett Cape, who plays for the Okanagan Sun. So you're going to see some guys that are coming back to Prince George, and I think for those guys as well, they were with other teams obviously before the Kodiaks came to be, but I think you're going to see these guys stoked to come back and play in front of this crowd and just play on their own turf, even if they're in another color uniform.
Absolutely. The Prince George Kodiaks coming back onto the field. There is about 3.5 minutes remaining in halftime, so we will take another break as we return after it with more Kodiaks action here on 99.3 Rewind Radio. Welcome back to Massage Place Stadium, where the Kamloops Broncos currently hold a 21-14 lead over the Prince George Kodiaks, as we're just moments away from the second half getting underway here in beautiful Prince George. But before we get to that, Tyler, give us a little bit of the out-of-town scoreboard.
So out-of-town scoreboard, and these games are happening at the same time as ours here in Prince George, but the Valley Huskers are leading the Langley Rams by a score of 7-6, so that should be around the halftime mark as they started at the same time as we did. And the West Shore Rebels leading the VI Raiders by a score of 17-10. So probably around halftime as well. So that's what's happening around the BCFC and in this week. And pretty soon the rest of the country gets going with the Prairie Conference getting going in Ontario as well. So BC starts a little bit earlier because we play a 10-game schedule. So that's one reason and how it goes. So that's what's happening around the out-of-town scoreboard in the BCFC and the future of the CJFL games.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Tyler. Less than 30 seconds remaining on the clock as the captains converge at midfield ahead of this second half. As mentioned, the Broncos currently leading 21-14 here at Massage Place Stadium. Crowd still very much here, packing the seats, packing the fence line, just taking in this first taste of Kodiaks football here in Prince George, because as mentioned, this is the very first home game for this young squad, led by two-time Grey Cup champion Keon Raymond. Tyler, perhaps, I know I texted you several months ago about the Grey Cup rings among coaching staffs. Have you ever seen so much bling on one sideline?
Oh, it's unreal, and it's such a nice thing to have. And Keon, obviously, coach of the Kodiaks, has a couple. Corey Philpott, the head coach of the Langley Rams, I know he has at least one. So there's guys littered around our league that are Grey Cup champions. And Jamie Borum is here at the game tonight. He was the head coach of the Okanagan Sun. He's another one that has a Grey Cup ring. So there's a lot of guys. Marvin Pope on the sidelines with the Kodiaks as well. So there's a lot of guys that have had a lot of success, and that's a great thing to be able to give to our young players and kind of teach them the ropes of where they need to be and how they need to act and play to be a champion.
Absolutely, and it's what you do with that coaching as well. As Keon Raymond has told me time and time again, they can't play the game for them. So
much as they might want to, they probably. I guarantee you, if you ask Big Marvin Pope or Keon, they'd love to strap the pads on, but unfortunately for them, they're just a little bit too old for our league.
Just a few years.
They'll still say they could do it, but they won't put it to the test, and leaning on the crutch of their age. But I'm sure they could probably still go out there and do some good things.
Perhaps playing through their own sons now.
Absolutely, no question, no question.
Prince George Kodiaks lined up to kick off to the Kamloops Broncos to get this second half underway. Kicking off broadcast right to left as the Kamloops Broncos field the kick. Number 88 just dashing through the Prince George Kodiaks. He gets all the way up to the Kamloops 37-yard line.
Good return there by Caleb Sens there by the Broncos. And that's the type of return you like to see, where you make a couple cuts, one cut, quick cut, get upfield, good field position for the Broncos as they start the second half. The lights are on, and I'm sure both teams have probably said, let's just start this one off 0-0, settle in now, play a good second half of football, and let's see what happens as this one plays out.
Reed Van Conant, quarterback for the Kamloops Broncos, breaks the huddle as the ball is currently placed along the right hash mark, takes the snap, play action, boots to his right. Quite a sneaky little snap there by number 88 from Kamloops.
Yeah, that was a dangerous throw there by Van Conant. He was trying to hit Chris Finden down the sidelines vertical, but the Kodiaks defense played that one really well. He was forced to check it down. I thought he might just throw that one out of bounds and then take a sack, but was able to check it down. Dangerous throw by Van Conant. Was able to pick up about 5 yards there on first down.
So it will be 2nd and 5. Ball now placed again on the right hash mark nearest to our broadcast here at Massage Place Stadium, around the 43-yard line, as it's a handoff to Gagorchik as he dashes, dekes, dives, dodges, and rumbles all the way past midfield up to about the Prince George 46-yard line. A sure first down for the Broncos.
Yeah, good run there. The first run of the second half there by Gregorczyk. He looked like he might be stopped close to the line of scrimmage there, but his blockers were able to kind of cave the left side of the Kodiak defensive line there. And Gregorczyk was able to get some green grass or green turf in front of him and pick up a first down for the Broncos.
Based on his ability to just dip and dive. I feel like he probably played flag football growing up.
Yeah, no question. He's elusive, has great feet.
Kamloops takes the snap, a sweep play to number 85. Chris Findon, as he's dashing upfield to the 20, 10, touchdown Broncos.
Really nice play as they ran the jet sweep there with Chris Findon. I thought as he went down the far sidelines here from our broadcast booth, I didn't think he was going to be able to get the corner, but he did get the corner, was able to turn on the Jets. That's a big play for him. That's he'd bring a Prince George native. He'll remember that one for a long time, and a great start to the second half for the Broncos.
A big score for the Broncos as they now double up on the Prince George Kodiaks. Score currently 27-14 as they line up for the point after. And it will indeed be a doubling of the score. 28-14 for the Kamloops Broncos. 12:55 remaining in the third quarter.
No flag on the play there, so the extra point, touchdown would be good, and the extra point as well. So really fast start by the Broncos. Couldn't have scripted it better to come out of the second half break. They got the ball first in the second half here, did exactly what they wanted to do, culminating with a score by Findon. So if you're Prince George, you're getting the ball back. Now you have to answer the way that you did in that first half there. I think they'll try and establish a run, which will lead to the play action with Oskowski, but we'll see what they do here. But Prince George needs a response here on offense to get the momentum back on their side.
Kamloops lining up for the kickoff. Keon Raymond II and Noah Lank back to receive for the Kodiaks. Scott Polzer kicks the ball off, and it will be Keon Raymond that receives the kick. Makes a bit of a hesitation step, heads to his right around the center of the field between the hash marks. And the Kodiaks offense will take over on first down at their own 31-yard line.
Pretty good field position after the return by Keon Raymond. There is a flag on the play. It's probably going to be offside against the Broncos, I'm assuming. So the Kodiaks will have a decision if they want to just decline this penalty and keep the ball. If that's what the penalty was, is it looks like they're talking to a Kodiak captain. So we'll see if they elect just to keep the ball here or make the Broncos re-kick.
And that Kodiak captain, number 70, Will St. Hubert, a BCFC All-Star last season with the VI Raiders.
He was dominant last year for the Raiders and is now here with the Kodiaks. So he's one of the guys that we mentioned that don't be surprised if you see him moving on beyond our levels. He's a massive plus and just an outstanding football player.
He's a little bit of a teddy bear as well. You may be intimidated by his size, but he's surely a nice guy as Oskowski hands off to Keanu Brown, who quickly gets wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Kodiaks were trying to run a counter play there, like an inside trap. It was just very slow developing, and that's designed. They got to let the blockers clear forward, but unfortunately for them, the Broncos got some penetration there, and they weren't able to get any momentum. The back was caught dead in his tracks in the backfield.
The ball placed along the left hash mark nearest to the stands here at Massage Place Stadium. It will be second and long for Oskowski and the offense. He calls cadence, takes the snap, drops back, looks to his left, scans right, heaves it downfield, and just out of reach for number 86, Andrew Brown, looking for that deep connection once again through Brown, but incomplete on the play.
Yeah, good throw there again by Oskowski as he was looking for Brown way down the field and just out of his reach. There were two Broncos there, but Brown was still almost able to get a hand on that. The old line for the Kodiaks, outstanding job there, as Oskowski first had to look to his left, then his right, and then still had time to go to his third receiver and throw the ball down the field. So just out of reach. Broncos get the hold they need on defense, and now bring their offense back on the field after this punt.
And it will be Mitchell back to kick the punt away to Kamloops. A quick 2-and-out for the Kodiaks as Mitchell kicks it away. Ball caught around the 42-yard line in the Kamloops end and quickly gets wrapped up, hauled down.
There's a There's a flag back where the kicker's limping here on this one. So this is going to be a penalty against the Broncos. It's just a matter if it's a contact in the kicker call. We'll see as the referee makes the signal here. If it's contact in the kicker, it'll still be third down on the play. If it's a roughing penalty, it'll be an automatic first down. So lots of times it'll be, we don't know, lots of times it's where he hit the kicker's foot, if it was his kicking foot up in the air or his plant foot will dictate that scenario. So they're talking to the Kodiak captain, so that tells me that it's probably contacting, because there wouldn't be much of a discussion here if it was roughing. The Kodiaks would take the first down. Unless he was just explaining it to the Kodiak captain.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is contacted the kicker. So they will move the ball 10 yards. It still will be third down, as the Kodiaks lost some yardage on first down there. So decision time here for Coach Keon Raymond. If he wants to go in a gambling mood here, as now it's at a 3rd and 12 or 11 and a half, it's probably going to be 3rd and 1.5 or 2. And so they'll keep the punt team out. So on their side of midfield, I probably agree with that call.
And Mitchell will have another go at this punt as he kicks. Beautiful spiral on this one, as Kamloops will receive it at their own 30-yard line, dashing through the return team. And I think it looked to be number 88 for Kamloops, gets down to about the 42-yard line.
Yeah, Caleb Seds there. Good return there, but what a massive kick there by the Kodiaks. And the height that kick went, and we hope you could pick it up on the broadcast on home if you're watching that. But the nice part about when you get a kicker who can kick the ball that high is it's really helpful to your cover teams, because they can get down the field and cover that. There's nothing harder for cover guys when a kicker kicks the ball line drive. That gives the returner a lot of options. So great kick there by the Kodiaks. The Broncos have the ball.
And we've got about just over 10 minutes remaining in this third quarter, which is brought to you by Forest Power Sports. For those listening, you're listening obviously on 99.3 to Rewind Radio, but this is also the TELUS Game of the Week, which is brought to you by the BC Lions, eXp Realty, Way Home Real Estate Group Kelowna, and the Coast to Coast Real Estate Team, Nanaimo. And of course, you're also streaming through BCFC TV for this beautiful game here at Massage Place Stadium in Prince George, as the Kamloops Broncos running back gets wrapped up.
Much better job there by the Kodiaks. Team defense there. That was fantastic. They were able to corral Georgic before he was able to get going. Injured a Kodiak on the play. Looked to make the tackle, but he's down right in front of the Kodiak bench. But much better job there by the Kodiaks on defense.
Also, just a shout out to our game sponsor for tonight, Gary Young Agencies. As mentioned, this being the first home game for the Prince George Kodiaks. 3 years in the making for this football club to get up off the ground and to the point where we're at tonight, where every seat in the house is filled up. Grass is getting flattened just outside the stadium as fans sprawl out on their lawn chairs or blankets. A beautiful environment for football here on this beautiful August Saturday evening.
Zachary Cormier was the injured Kodiak. He made the tackle. He came off on his own steam, so that's good to see. We hope to see him back in the game soon. So good to see the guys get off, and hope for him to come back and play pretty quick on the defense for the Kodiaks.
2nd and 7 for the Broncos as Van Conant drops back, looks to go deep to Chris Findon as he brings it in, and it will be a catch by the 20-yard line for Findon, the product of Prince George. And the Broncos continue to move the ball on the Kodiaks.
Another dart, another perfect throw by Van Conant as he just dropped that one right in there. Nothing fancy. Findon was able to get off the line. The receiver tried, the DB tried to get up into it, not jam him, but be tight. Findon was able to get by him, and he's fast. He's a big receiver, but he was actually at the BC Lions E-Camp for us this year and had the fastest time at the 40 camp for all our junior guys. So Chris Findon, not only a big receiver, but he can fly as well.
The Kamloops Broncos first down by to the Prince George 20-yard line. Ball placed on the right hash mark as they're getting to the point. They're inside the red zone. Then Conant, bit of a mishap in the backfield there. And the Kodiaks come up with a big defensive play, swatting down that pass attempt by Van Conant.
Yeah, broken play there by the Kamloops offense there. As a back to Grigorczyk and Van Conant just were in the midst, a little bit of miscommunication there. Good defensive play by the Kodiaks as Van Conant was just trying to get rid of that one. So could have been an interception, but fortunate for the Broncos, it's just incomplete. So good job there by the Kodiak defense.
2nd and 10. Ball still at the 20-yard line. 8:41 in the third quarter. Van Conant drops back, looks left, goes deep into the end zone. And an incomplete pass. That was a close one.
Really close play. And again, you saw the precision with Van Conant. He just dropped that one right into the hands of the Bronco receiver. It would have been a really tough play as he would have had to extend, but what a throw there by Van Conant. It was incomplete. That'll bring out 3rd down. We'll see if the Broncos have probably got to try a field goal here. But that was right on the money by Van Conant, and unfortunate for the Broncos, he wasn't able to come down with it.
That would have been a huge scoring play for the Broncos as they would have further extended their lead, currently leading 28-14 against the Kodiaks, lining up for a field goal attempt. Ball being snapped from the 20-yard line will be placed at about the 27-yard line. So a 27-yard field goal attempt from number 2, Scott Polzer. And that is wide right.
Lots of distance there by Polzer, but just unfortunately pushed it wide right. So they will get the Rouge. So that's a single point for the Broncos on that one. So another change-up from the American game and the high school game. So Broncos will get a point there, but obviously disappointed they didn't get a field goal.
And a bit of a shout-out to CKPG lead anchor, my colleague, Jeremy Corrigan. He says, if you win the Rouge battle, you win the game.
That's true. That's true. And lots of times Rouges can win games for people as well, so he's pretty much spot on.
So there you go, Jeremy. If you're listening, you're bang on.
As now they just put the point up, so it's funny. I think the timekeepers on the scoreboard people are probably new as well here to the Canadian game. And what, is that a point or is that not a point? So it does end up on the scoreboard here, the beautiful scoreboard here. Now it'll read 29-14 for the Broncos. Still 2-score game, so that's a good news for the Kodiaks.
2-back formation for Oskowski as he looks to take the snap of this one. 2 receivers on either side of the formation. Oskowski drops back, looks right, and that is a quick hit. Gain of about 8 yards on the play.
Good throw there. I didn't see the receiver number on there. I can't see if that was Brown on the far side, but that's just a really nice quick throw. Oskowski drops back and then set his feet. Threw a dart there. Great positive yards there on first down. Bring it up 2nd and short for Prince George.
I think that was a completion to number 19, Evan Ingram, for the Kodiaks, his first reception of tonight. So 2nd and what looks to be 2 on the play. Oskowski takes the snap, drops back once again, steps up, and he decides to take it himself. He gets the first down, just a yard short of midfield, but some extracurricular activity between a few Kodiaks and a member of the Kamloops Broncos defense.
Yeah, a little rough stuff there. Good job by Oskowski there. We'll see who the referee's flag on this was. Both players were kind of pushing after the play, so the referees might have just tried to pick out one player here and give a 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty too. So good job there by the Kodiaks. Oskowski gets a first down. We'll see if it stands. So it's going to go against the Kodiaks. So that will be after the yards were gained, I'm assuming. So it'll still be first down for the Kodiaks, just back 15 yards.
So officials discussing the penalties following that one. Liam Oskowski comes to his sideline.
So still should be 1st and 10 on the play. It was after yards per gain. It was dead ball foul, so that still should be Kodiak ball on the 1st and 10, but kind of wipes out the run and the great play by the legs of Oskowski as he made a good play there, getting the first down.
It would have been just a yard short of midfield, but instead they will line up at their 38-yard line for a 1st and 10. Three receivers to Oskowski's left side, single back, takes the snap, quick handoff to Keanu Brown, who dashes through the offensive line. And that may very well be another first down for the Kodiaks. Not back to where they were, but movement nonetheless.
Pretty close there. What looks to be a little bit short based on where the spot is from my eyesight, but we'll see what the officials decide. They may call in a measurement here. They are. Good run there, and that's something. Usually the Kodiaks tonight, when they've had success, they've been able to run the ball off the edge of the Broncos defense. In that case, they came kind of right up underneath that. So we'll see if they've made some adjustments here as the Kodiaks are trying to come to the line of scrimmage, and the officials are saying, hang on, we got to measure this one.
So there will be a measurement. We're going to take a quick break for the officials to figure out what's going on. When we get back, more Kodiaks football after the break. Kodiak's going for a 2nd and short play here. Oskowski drops back, a little bit of a pressure from the defensive line of Kamloops, and he gets hauled down. A sack by number 95 of Kamloops.
That was Paul Orajekwe with a big sack there for the Broncos. That's a tough one for the Kodiaks there, as they had a 2nd and short. They were trying to be aggressive on offense, maybe hit a deep pass down the field. Still may have gone for it there on 3rd down. Unfortunately, after the sack there, now they're out of gambling range for Coach Keon Raymond. They'll have to send the punt team out here. That's an unfortunate break for the Kodiaks on offense.
3rd down for the Kodiaks. A few penalties on that drive. Certainly back further from where they would have wanted to be, as number 17, Mitchell, back to punt for the Kodiaks. A single return man back for Kamloops. The kick goes up. Number 88 for Kamloops gets it by the 35, does a little dancing left-right towards the left sideline. Gets brought down around the 52-yard line, just ahead of midfield.
Good return there by Caleb Sens. I didn't think he was going to be able to get as many yards as he did on that return. The Kodiaks were in good field position there to make a tackle, but once again, good field position for Kamloops here on this drive. And Prince George really needs, I get the feeling as this game goes on, they really need a stop here. They really need a turnover, maybe a big interception, a fumble recovery, something that changes the momentum of the game for them, as there's a holding penalty against the Broncos, so that will back them up. But I get the sense that the Kodiaks just need to have some big game-changing or momentum-changing play here, and it could come on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. One big hit, one sack, an interception even. That's all you really need to turn the tide of this game, as the Broncos lead 29-14, 5 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter, as Van Conant and the offense on the field. Ball around their 29-yard line. A quick hitch play to number 88 as he's speeding past the defense. 50, 40, 30, 20. Keon Raymond pushes him right out at the 5-yard line. A big gain by the Kamloops Broncos, but Keon Raymond comes from the far side of the field to track him down, push him out of bounds.
Massive play there for Kamloops. Is at that play, good blocking by the receivers out front there. That was what made that play happen. Then you saw in the open field a lot of speed. And you know what? That's a big game for the Kamloops Broncos. But that's something that the Kodiaks, they saw Keon Raymond II's effort there. And he came from a long ways back and made a heck of a play. And plays like that, you never know. They could fumble the ball here. They could throw an interception. And that's a big play by Keon Raymond to come back, hustle like that, and knock the Kamloops receiver down.
So first and goal for Kamloops. Van Konen drops back, looks for a quick hit, but an incomplete pass over the middle.
Just over the head of the receiver there. A little bit high of a throw there by Van Konen. He'd probably like to have that one back as he had his receiver. His receiver got on the inside of the Kodiak defender. So a bit of a misthrow there by Van Konen as he's been hitting those pretty much all night tonight.
And looking to go back to Sens on that one after the big gain from Sens on the previous play. Perhaps trying to let him finish the drive off, but instead it is second and goal for the Broncos. He takes the snap, fakes the handoff, looks to throw to the corner of the end zone, and out of bounds. A one-hand snag, but out of bounds for number 17.
Meikle again. Nice play there by Colton Meikle. He's kind of thinking he might have got a foot down there, but the officials were right there in a good spot there. They signal out of bounds. But we'll see if that play by Keon Raymond II comes back as a big play in this game, because that looks to have saved the Kodiaks at least 4 points here as the Broncos, actually they're leaving their offense on the field. So this could be a really big play right here. It is a big play here for both teams. That's the Broncos look to be gambling here on third down.
And I'm not going to lie, that certainly looked as if he was in bounds. So that could be a big miscall by the officials in favor for the Kodiaks on this. But one more shot for the Broncos as Van Konen looks, some pressure, and he gets hauled down. A huge momentum play for the Kodiaks as Marcellus Pope comes up with the big play on defense.
Great play there by Marcellus Pope. And again, remember that play that Keon Raymond II made as he made an extra effort there to hunt the Caleb Sens running down the sidelines. That saved a touchdown. Kodiaks get the stop on defense. They'll now take over first down on offense. We'll see if that's the play that ignites the Kodiak offense as their bench erupted after that sack.
And the crowd erupted
Absolutely.
on that one as well.
And that's another point, too. You get the crowd back in your game. You get that stop. It's still a 2-score lead. I thought the Broncos might kick there to extend that to a 3-score lead, but obviously not. And now big play by the Kodiaks.
And Oskowski takes the snap deep in their own end. He looks deep, slings it. An incomplete pass. Little too tall on that one for number 80, Abdi Banzel, for the Kodiaks.
If that one sailed, Banzel wasn't able to climb the ladder and bring that one down. Oskowski got hit hard on that play. He wasn't really able to step into that one the way he wanted to. That throw was a lot of arm by him, so the Broncos got good pressure on that one. Oskowski sailed that one a little bit, and now it's second down. Big play for the Kodiaks deep in their own territory.
And 2:28 and counting in the third quarter. As mentioned, the Kodiaks deep in their own zone. Second down play, a quick hit to Mitchell along the near sideline, but incomplete. Ball must have skipped off the turf. He's still trying to sell it, though.
Yeah, that one, we could almost hear that one up here in the broadcast booth. That definitely skipped on the turf there. I don't think he would even had enough for the first down, even if he had caught it, but the ball did skip to the turf here. Decision time for the Kodiaks. Do they want to punt this ball? The punter's Mitchell's been kicking the leather out of the ball here today, so I don't think they want to give up a safety here, because that will take it to a 3-score game. So I think they'll probably try and punt the ball, hopefully get a big kick by Mitchell.
And perhaps trying to go the far side with this punt, as the Broncos, originally had just one returnman. Now they have two. And a booming kick. We'll see if it even does not make it quite to midfield, as Sens takes the punt around the Prince George 48-yard line, quickly gets wrapped up and brought down to the turf.
Broncos are going to have really good field position after this. There's a no yards penalty. There's a flag right in front of the Kodiak bench. So this is going to be a 15-yard penalty. So for those that are at home or are listening to us, as the ball's caught in the air, that's a 15-yard penalty. So this is, if it's on the ground and a player's within that 5-yard zone, it's a 5-yard penalty. So the unfortunate break there for the Kodiaks is this is going to give the Broncos really good field position.
No fair catches in Canadian football.
No fair catches, unfortunately.
You got to deal with what's coming at you, I guess.
Yeah, it's a totally different rule, and you see some of the returners, they struggle with it as well, because we've actually seen returners give the wave as if it is a fair catch. So they learn fast that that rule, unfortunately, doesn't apply in the Canadian game.
I think you have to learn fast.
Yeah, so it's a steep learning curve.
Yes,
steep learning curve.
Minute 39 in the third quarter.
A really good field position here for the Broncos after the 15-yard penalty, so can't complain about that. This is where you want to be. You wonder if they are going to try and make a sudden play here, a quick strike here, take a shot, but try and see if the Kodiak defense is napping. So good field position for the Broncos. Kodiak defense needs to stop.
Ball on about the 32-yard line in the Prince George end. Van Conant hands off to Gagorchik, and he gets wrapped up just past the line of scrimmage. A small gain, but a gain nonetheless.
Yeah, good positive yards off first down there. They've kind of gone away from Gagorchik after the success he had in the first half, so we'll see if as this game progresses here as we're approaching the 1-minute mark in the third quarter. We'll see if they try and run the ball there. He got about 3, so Kodiak defense did a good job there limiting that gain. So this is a massive play here on second down.
Second and about 7 yards on for the first down for Kamloops. Van Conant got 3 receivers to his left side, single back, drops back, looks to scamper to his right, under pressure, but ball sails out of bounds towards his right side.
Smart decision there by Van Conant as the Kodiak's defense was right in on him. Yeah, brought a little bit of pressure on the blitz. He had nowhere to go, did the right thing, and he's an older guy. He's played a lot of football. He's played university football. Don't make a mistake. Don't throw it where it could be intercepted. Just throw the ball out of bounds. We'll bring up third down now, and again, there's a bit of confusion on the Broncos sidelines as far as what they're going to do here. They better move with the play clock now at 10 seconds. The head referee is going to give the Broncos a little bit of latitude here as the play clock reset. So a break for the Broncos, I think, on that one as they look to kind of a bit of confusion. Now he might make them call timeout. He does. So a bit of miscommunication as head coach Braden Van Conant wasn't sure what to do. Go for it, kick, punt. So Broncos called timeout here, and now they have a bit more time.
It looks as though they will be lining up for a field goal attempt.
Yeah, I think you want to do it here to get to that 3-score lead. That's the key, and these 3 points are big if you're Kamloops and obviously if you're Prince George. If you miss, again, you're looking for a big return. Keon Raymond II's deep, so we've seen him so far today. He's electric. So Broncos looking to extend this to a 3-score lead. Kodiak's obviously looking to prevent that.
And it gives you that security blanket, establishing a three-score lead. That way you can go back to Gagorchik, get him running the ball again, not having to risk throwing an interception in the fourth quarter. With 23 and a half seconds remaining here in the third quarter, will be what looks to be a 36-yard field goal attempt for the Broncos.
Another delay here as they're just getting things set here. It's a big kick here. Pulser's got the leg to get this, so big kick here for the Broncos and the Kodiaks.
And the ball goes wide left. A shank on that one as Keon Raymond looks to track it down, brings it out of the end zone, up along the right side, and brings it right up to about the 15-yard line. A missed opportunity for the Kamloops Broncos on that one as the attempt gets shanked right to the left side, almost closer to City Field on the opposite side of Massey Drive here in Prince George than it was the uprights at Massage Place Stadium.
Yeah, that wasn't a good kick there by Pulser, and he could kick that. We've seen him do it before in this league, so I'm not sure if it almost looked like he didn't follow through with his kicking leg there, and for whatever reason it just kind of stopped, and the ball wasn't even, like you mentioned, close to to going through the upright. So that's a break for the Kodiaks. It still keeps it a 2-score game as this is the last play here of the third quarter, barring a penalty.
And Oskowski under center for this play. Takes the snap, a handoff, but a fumble behind the line of scrimmage.
They have recovered on that. That's a massive play. A bit of confusion down there now as referees sort this one out. But now their Broncos, they were coming on the field with their offense. Now they're kind of second-guessing that as referees look to they are going to give the ball to the Broncos. So massive play there by the Broncos. It's just when the Kodiaks get a bit of a break with the not a good field goal opportunity kick there, they give it right back to the the Broncos, and they'll have amazing field position to start the fourth quarter.
We'll take a quick break as things flip to the other side of the field as the fourth quarter is just moments away. Sends dashes into the end zone. A quick scoring play for the Kamloops Broncos as we get the fourth quarter underway. Some quick dashing moves on that one. Sends finds pay dirt. And the Broncos go up 35-14 against the Kodiaks.
And that's a big play there, and Broncos needed to get a score there to extend that lead. They wanted a score. They wanted to capitalize on the Kodiak turnover. They did exactly that. That's a big momentum boost to the Broncos on the far side of the field.
And the point after attempt just rings itself off the crossbar.
That wasn't a very good stroke there either by Polsers. He's kind of reminds me on the golf course sometimes when you have to go back and recalibrate your strength with your swing. So he, like I say, he's a good kicker. We've seen him do it before. It's just the last two, it's just his timing doesn't seem to be in shape, and I'm sure he'll be working on that. But the kicking is just exactly like golf, and when your rhythm is out of sorts, that can happen.
And I'm sure just overthinking after that first initial miss, just overthinking his mechanics on that last one.
Yeah, kickers of all kinds, and they'll tell you this, is you have to have short memories. That's the key in when you're a kicker, and if you miss one or something doesn't get one blocked, by the time you hit the sidelines, that should be out of your mind.
Absolutely. We're 14:36 remaining in the fourth quarter, brought to you by Treasure Cove Casino. You're listening to Kodiaks games powered by the Prestige Treasure Cove Resort. As the ball gets kicked off to the Kodiaks, Keon Raymond tracking it down, and it goes out of bounds, so that will be a penalty on the Kamloops Broncos.
Yeah, unfortunate break there for Kamloops, big break there for the Kodiaks, so they'll get good field position on this one. I believe it's at the 40-yard line, so after the kick went out of bounds, so they should get good field position. Smart play by Raymond to let that one go out of bounds, so opportunity for the Kodiaks here, and you got to think 14:30 left in this fourth quarter. They got to make something happen on offense. They still got lots of time. For those that don't watch the Canadian game a lot, 14:30 is an eternity. So lots of time left, but the Kodiaks got to get something going and get in the end zone here pretty quick.
That kickoff brought to you by DMC Chartered Accountants as the Prince George Kodiaks offense back onto the field. Liam Oskowski, quarterback for the black and gold. He directs traffic in his backfield, takes the snap, drops back, looks to his left, looks to sling it to Mitchell, and picked off.
Wow.
A sneaky interception.
Yeah, I mean, that's and people joke all the time about DBs that can't catch, and that was a heck of a catch there by, we can't see him, he's on the far side of our field trying to make out a number. It looks like a single-digit jersey on the far side.
I want to say it was Logan Ritchie.
That's who I was going to say, number 8, and that's a fantastic catch, and that's the big break for the Broncos and the deflating one for the Kodiaks.
Yes, that will certainly make highlight reels come Monday.
Oh, no question. I was a linebacker, so they used to say I couldn't catch either. So I like to see the defensive guys make catches like that, kind of break the rumor or the
prove
norms.
The haters wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Kamloops Broncos on offense as Reed Van Conant takes the shotgun snap. Under pressure, slings it out of bounds.
Broken play there by the Broncos as well as on that one as Van Conant opened to his right. So when he turned his shoulders, he was thinking the back was going to be to his right. Unfortunately for him, the back went to his left. So bit of miscommunication there on offense for the Broncos. But Van Conant again doesn't take the sack, doesn't throw an interception, just throw the ball out of bounds, then live to fight another day on here on second down.
Yeah, and on to the next play.
Yeah, don't force things. Don't force it, especially when you're up by 35-14. Just don't force anything.
2nd and 10 for the Kamloops Broncos at midfield here at Massage Place Stadium. A handoff to Gogorchik as he dashes, weaves through defenders, takes the ball for a first down all the way inside Prince George's end of the field. Gets it to about the 42-yard line on the far side of the field.
Really good run there by Gregorczyk. But I think when the Kodiaks watch that play on film, probably tonight, because I'm sure they might be doing that, or certainly tomorrow, they're not going to be very happy with the tackling on that one. As Gregorczyk's talented, he's elusive, but there was a few black sweaters there who should have been able to bring Gregorczyk down, and they might not like that when they watch film.
I know traditionally defenders are taught to read pass first, but at this point in the game, you're perhaps better off just assuming it will be a run play as Gogorchik takes yet another handoff, gets wrapped up a few yards past the line of scrimmage.
Better job there as Gogorchik wasn't able to get to the second level of the Kodiak defense, so much better job there, only about a yard, maybe yard and a half gain on that one. And they need to stop. They need either or a turnover, but certainly they need to get a stop here on second down and get their offense back on the field as we're under 12 minutes left in the fourth.
Especially, I mean, you've seen the struggles of the Kamloops kicker at this point, so the more you can force these third down situations, you're probably putting yourself in a better situation, get your offense out onto the field without points getting put up on the board as the handoff to Gogorchik yet again and quickly wrapped up. So it will be a third down situation, 3rd and long, and the ball placed by about the 39-yard line inside the Prince George zone.
Minimal gain there by Gregorczyk on second down. Decision time for the Broncos. It looks like Reed Van Conant staying on the field, so it looks like they're going to go for it. I thought they might punt the ball here and try and hem the Kodiaks to a long field, but Broncos are going to go gambling here. They need about 6.5 or 7 yards here, so big play here for the Kodiak defense as they need to stop.
Strong formation to the left side. Van Conant takes the snap, drops back, slings it out of bounds under pressure.
Kodiaks brought the house on that one, and they were able to swarm Van Conant. He wasn't able to even set his feet. Most of the routes of that particular play there were longer routes, so Van Conant didn't have a lot of short options to just dump the ball out. There was no under routes or quick out routes, so he needed time, whatever that was going to happen on that play. For the good news for the Kodiaks and their fans is he didn't have it, and that's a turnover, and the Kodiaks get the ball back.
Kodiaks take over on offense on their own 39-yard line, far side hash mark from the stands here at Massage Place Stadium here in Prince George. Liam Oskowski takes the snap, drops back, looks midfield, dashes around some defenders and hits Marquise Banks for a back shoulder reception by.
That's a heck of a catch by Banks, and it's only about an 8-yard gain or 9-yard gain, but that's a heck of a catch by Banks, as that was, like you said, thrown to the back shoulder. He had to contort his body there, makes a big catch and a positive gain for the Prince George.
Second and 2 yards, it looks like, on the play as the Kodiaks near midfield here. Oskowski drops back again, under pressure, gets brought down around the 41-yard line. A sack by number 16 for the Kamloops Broncos.
That's a big play there, and the problem that you have if you're, and you see the difference is, in that play, if you're Oskowski, if Vancouver might have thrown that one away and it would have been 3rd and 2. That's where Oskowski's trying to make something happen, trying to use his legs. Maybe should have thrown that one away as Kamloops got in on him pretty quick.
Be a 3rd down situation. Oskowski and the offense stay out onto the field. Oskowski drops back, looks left, runs to his left, looks at the sideline, and looks to be a 1st down. I think that's Mitchell with the reception along the sideline.
Yeah, it looks like Mitchell on the far sidelines. What the coaches are like there is he made sure he got to the 1st down yard markers, and he had the luxury of having them probably about 2 feet to his right, so that always helps. But good job by him to get to the 1st down marker, make sure he has enough for the 1st down, and that'll move the sticks for the Kodiaks.
9 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Kodiaks just past their own 50-yard line, 51-yard line. Oskowski drops back, looks over the middle, and gets picked off. I think number 32 for the Broncos. Flag on the play. I believe it may have been a face mask on the tackle.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one, as there's a little bit of frustration here happening after that interception. So a little frustration setting in for the Kodiak offense. For the Bronco defense, another takeaway, another nice catch. But I think you're right. I think there's going to be another 15-yard penalty added to the end of this one.
Jerome Erickson, the intended target on that play, just a little too high and too far for him as the ball practically just landed into the free safety's lap on that one.
They signaled the penalty against the Broncos on this one, so they're going to march this back. I was with you. I thought I saw a face mask penalty against Kodiaks, but there was a 15-yard penalty going the other way. So good news for the Kodiaks is that penalty does go in their favor. Bad news, obviously, they don't have the ball anymore. And the clock is going to start to become their enemy here with 8:44 left. So they got to make something happen. The Broncos defense has made stuff happen on their side of the ball when they've been playing defense. Now it's up to the Kodiaks to do the same.
Kamloops Broncos currently leading 35-14 here in the 4th quarter as we near the midway mark of the 4th quarter. Broncos back on offense. Ball currently placed on the 37-yard line, smack dab in the middle of the hash marks. Ball gets handed off to number 32, Keegan Curtis, for a short gain on the play. It looks like some substitutions on the Broncos offensive side as Reed Van Conant, it looks like his night is done. Again, with a 35-14 lead, so giving some playing time to some of the second strings on the depth chart. Number 10, Clark Snyder, in at quarterback for the Broncos.
Yeah, now the Schneider's in there. Grigorjic's out of the game as well on the running back spot. So good opportunity for some other guys to get some valuable snaps.
A quick hit play to the right side to number 19. Gets wrapped up. A mob tackle for the Kodiaks. Gain of a few yards on the play. It will be 3rd and what looks to be 4 on the play.
Broncos should send out the punt team here, but in a long season, 10-game season for ours, and then for us, obviously, could have a long road to the Canadian Bowl, and as it'll be held in the Prairie Conference. It's always this year. It's good to get guys reps because it is a long season. Guys get hurt. It's nice to be able to get your guys in the game, get them some valuable trigger time minutes, and that looks to be what the Broncos are doing here.
Keon Raymond back to return the punt from the Broncos. 7:12 and counting on the game clock.
So they're going to let this run right down, probably call a timeout here. Or take a delay of game penalty, so they'll take the delay of game. So substitution issues with the Broncos there. They didn't have enough guys. That's a smart thing to do, is don't risk getting a ball blocked on that one. 5-yard penalty is not going to kill you. It's much better to kick the ball, reset it, kick it here on 3rd down than risk having a block and the Kodiaks pick it up and score.
Absolutely. 6:57, so inside 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Broncos currently up 35-14. Ball third and a lot as they are getting set to punt the ball away to Keon Raymond, who's getting ready to return the ball for the Kodiaks, hopefully get them some good field position for their offense. Punter runs to his right side, kicks it out of bounds, and that will surely be some good field position for the Kodiaks, as that did not even get past midfield before it went out of bounds.
Yeah, the officials are marking it now, so the Kodiaks will get good field position on that. It's a really tough thing to do. What they're trying to do is run and kick the ball at the same time, especially if you're going opposite your foot. So if you're running to the left and you're a right-footed kicker, or vice versa. So Kodiaks get a bit of a break after the short punt by the Broncos. Again, clock becoming their enemy as we're under 7 minutes. And you got to think they got to strike here soon. But these are still valuable reps for them as well, and things to build on as they finish this game and move on to the next game and on their schedule.
So ball placed about the 52-yard line in the Prince George end. Oskowski looks to take the snap. We'll see what they end up doing as he scans the field. Little drop pass to Baptiste, and that is past the midfield mark. As that will be looks to be a first down for the Kodiaks.
Yeah, nice play there. Oskowski didn't have anything down the field vertical, so he just checked it down, and that's actually a veteran type decision where you still don't need to force it, even though you want to and you want to get points fast, but just check it down, get 9 yards, positive yards here, manageable second down. Good job by Oskowski.
3 receivers set to the short side of the field. Oskowski drops back, steps up, looks deep for Marquise Banks. And through his hands.
I think that one's Banks might want to have back. As it looked to from our angle, it looked that was going to be a catchable ball and a touchdown for the Kodiaks. So maybe he lost it in the lights, or maybe our angle was just not conducive, or not. We didn't see it properly. But I thought he was going to catch that ball.
There have been some jitters as well on the part of Banks, wide open behind the defense. It seems like there's a lot to be thinking about in those very short few seconds from the ball being up in the air to it getting close to your hands.
Yeah, and Banks is coming off, and he's frustrated with himself. He probably feels he should have had that one.
A quick quarterback sneak to get the first down for the Kodiaks. So first down for the Kodiaks. The ball will be, looks to be about the 42-yard line in the Kamloops zone. Number 4, Andrew Johnson, coming in again for the Kodiaks under center. The receiver playing the quarterback sneak package for the Kodiaks. Oskowski back out onto the field with the offense. Trips left formation, 3 receivers along the left side. Oskowski scans left, looks to tuck it, and he does. Number 80 with the reception. Gain of about 8 yards on the play.
Connects with Bansal. Now they're going to get up in the hurry-up offense, but good throw there as he bought a bit of time with his legs, found Bansal, got pretty close to the first down. I've got about 9, it looks like.
4:30 remaining in the fourth quarter. Kodiaks inside Kamloops' end of the field. Oskowski scanning, looks deep into the end zone. We'll see Jerome Erickson with the touchdown.
Nice catch.
What a catch as he scanned it, tracked it in, pulled it in, and the Kodiaks with a touchdown late in the fourth quarter here, and they bite into the Kamloops lead.
Nice play there by Oskowski as the Kodiaks are going to go for 2 here as they're celebrating, and the coaches are trying to get their attention. But that is a great throw. But you have to give a lot of credit there to the Kodiak offensive line as Oskowski had a lot of time to step into that throw, wait to find Erickson, and you got to think for a guy like Jerome Erickson, that's a big play that he'll remember for a long, long time.
A huge play by Erickson. Let's not forget, this is a player that made the transition from being a quarterback in high school to being a receiver on this Kodiaks team, and a top target for Oskowski as Oskowski looks to go for a 2-point conversion. An incomplete pass, though. So score sits 35-20 for the Broncos. We'll have more football action on the flip side of this commercial break. Schneider getting set, placing the ball on the tee to kick off to the Kamloops Broncos. 4:17 remaining in the fourth quarter. The Kodiaks trailing 15 points to the Kamloops Broncos.
We'll see if there's any short kick here. If the Kodiaks elect just a late substitution there, they're not going to like that one. Kodiaks had too many men, but they were able to get them off the field. Now the kick will come as the referees let that one go.
I'm not sure quite why they took him off, because I think there's only 11 players on the field for the Kodiaks.
I think you're right. I'm counting them as a mesh here with the guys coming on the field and off the field, but you might be right. It might have been 11, but either way, that they tried the short kick, the one where the kicker tries to go straight ahead with it and get it himself. So try and find a hole there. They weren't able to do it. Broncos take possession. So Kodiaks gamble. There's still lots of time left. Canadian game. Fans here will get to know that anything can happen in 4 minutes. That's an eternity in the Canadian game. So Kodiaks will probably look for a strip or a turnover or some big play on defense.
Kamloops takes over on offense midfield as they look to take some time off the clock. A little bit of a slip up in the backfield for the running back during a handoff play.
They're going to say he's down there as his knee hit the ground there. So that's going to be a loss on the play for the Broncos of about 2 or 3. So his knee did hit the ground there. So Kodiaks get a big play on defense there. It will be a loss. 2nd and long here. So they need to stop here as the clock will continue to tick here under 3.5 minutes.
We'll go back to some of the differences between the Canadian and American game. As you heard, we're talking about 11 players on the field. There's 12 players allowed on the field either side in the Canadian game. As the Kamloops Broncos get set for a 2nd and 12 situation. A sweep play to number 19. Scoots past the defenders upfield, a gain of about 6, or actually it would be a gain of about 8 yards on the play as he cuts into that deficit of theirs following that tackle for a loss on the previous play.
Good play there by the Broncos to get 8 yards or 7 yards of that play. They're going to punt here. Prince George is going to get the ball back, which is great. They're, again, not going to be very happy here with the tackling on that particular play, as they could have held that to a much smaller gain, if any, but they do get the stop they need. We're going to be at the 3-minute warning, it looks like. So Prince George is going to get the ball back, and we've seen their offense strike pretty fast here, and they're going to have to do it again here when they get this ball back.
2:47 remaining in the quarter. Broncos leading by 15 points at this point as they're on offense. Ball currently placed.
The Broncos look to have their short men again, so this play clock is going to wind down. Flag on the play. Broncos were short a guy. 2 punts in a row for the Broncos, so they're not going to like that. It's cost them 10 yards. Actually, that's going to be a 10-yard penalty. So in the last 3 minutes, so another rule that'll push this back 10 yards instead of 5. So Broncos aren't going. Referees only marked it 5, which that's a mistake, but that's not going to make the coaches very happy. So now it's a 3-minute warning. So that they might have said that foul occurred on the other side of the 3-minute warning. So that might have been why they only marked off 5-yard penalty.
So ball currently placed at midfield, the near side hash mark here at Massage Place Stadium. A punting situation for the Kamloops Broncos. Keon Raymond back to return for the Kodiaks. 2:30 remaining on the clock. Ball gets snapped, ball gets kicked up, and Keon Raymond catches it around the 24-yard line, gets a gain of about 5 yards on the return.
Good job by the Broncos special teams there, getting down, making the tackle. They got the kickoff. You could see the punter was definitely making sure he was going to try and do that, as he just took one last step there just to make sure that punt wasn't blocked. So Kodiaks have the ball back. They got some timeouts. They got 2:20 or so on the clock. So they've got a little bit. They got some time left. If they can get a quick strike, we've seen them do it tonight. They get a quick strike, that we could be in for an interesting finish. But you got to think they need the chunk play here. They need a big gainer, big chunk play on offense to at least give themselves a shot.
Quick play to get them at least past midfield would be huge for this offense, as Oskowski looks to the flats, hits and connects with Noah Lank, who's off and running, gets past the 45-yard line. I believe it will be marked at the 45-yard line. So a quick hit play that resulted in a ton of yards after the catch by Noah Lank, who was actually BC High School football's AA Offensive Player of the Year this past season as a member of the Duchess Park Condors and, as mentioned, a product of Prince George.
They could have had Oskowski didn't throw the greatest throw on that one. Lank made a nice play going down to pick it up. If he's able to catch that ball around his numbers, he might have been able, and in stride, he might have been able to instead make that a 12 or 13-yard gain. He might have been able to get 20 or 30 or even more on that one, because it was set up nicely by the Kodiaks. So they weren't. Good news is they do get a big play on offense, but that could have been even more for the Kodiaks.
Kodiak's down by 15, but the crowd very much still in this one as they're trying to cheer on their offense, who's currently on the field after a first down play. First down, ball currently on the 45-yard line. Far side, hash mark. Oskowski takes the snap, drops back, looks to his right, gets caught up in traffic.
We'll see. They're going to call grounding there on Oskowski. Is there? Kodiaks won't like this penalty. Keon Raymond's coming out to point to a receiver that was in the vicinity, but I think they're going to say Oskowski was down, so that would be a sack for the Broncos, as it should be an intentional grounding call against the Kodiaks. I couldn't see if there was a receiver, as Oskowski was trying to make something happen, avoid the sack, just flick it to one of his receivers if there was one close by. So we'll see if the officials are going to talk about it to see if there was one.
Well, and I don't know whether Keon Raymond's gesturing that there was a receiver in a vicinity or perhaps a penalty that was elsewhere on the field, because he was looking towards the deep secondary on the near side of Massage Place Stadium. So regardless, second and long for the Kodiaks. Oskowski takes the snap, drops back, a quick throw, and it gets picked. I don't even know how to explain what just happened.
We'll see if they call it a catch by an interception. Kodiaks think it isn't a fumble. We'll see if they say the Bronco defensive player had possession, or if they're going to call this an incomplete pass of the player.
So Oskowski drops back, throws a quick hit, ends up getting what looked to be intercepted. The player who intercepted got tripped up, but as getting tripped up, the ball then popped up, and number 17, Mitchell, for Prince George, dives in and made the reception, but it looks as though the officials are calling the play back.
Yeah, so they're saying that he didn't have possession on that play. The hometown fans here, the packed house at Massage Stadium won't like that. Neither will the Kodiaks bench, but it's hard to tell from our angle here. If the Bronco player, he has to be able to take a couple steps to make a football move. So we couldn't tell if he was able to do that. He should have had the interception, so it shouldn't even have been an issue. But that'll be now bringing up third down here, I believe, on the far side for the Kodiaks.
So third and long, minute 57 remaining on the clock. Kodiak's offense remains on field. Oskowski drops back, looks deep, hurls it up. Wow. And that is about 10 yards too far for number 17, Mitchell.
Yeah, that's a big turnover, unfortunately. Mitchell wasn't able to catch that, but what an arm by Oskowski there as he just showed it off in front of the home fans, but he launched that one, and maybe Mitchell might have thought that he wasn't going to be able to throw it that far because he kind of stutter-stepped a little bit there, but unfortunately for the Kodiaks, they weren't able to connect. They'll turn it over, and now they're fighting the clock here with under 2 minutes left in the game.
Well, that looked as though it was about a 60-yard throw from Oskowski, so quite the arm on the 18-year-old. Minute 48 remaining in the quarter. Turnover as the Kamloops Broncos offense is back out onto the field inside the Prince George end of the field on the far side hash mark. A handoff to number 42. Maybe a gain of a yard or two on the play. It'll be a gain of 1 yard, 2nd and 9 for Kamloops.
Michael Lefevre with the run there for the Broncos, minimal gain on first down. So Coach Keon Raymond's going to call the timeout here. Miscommunication there as Kodiak trying to get a player off the sidelines there. But clock will stop here with 1:39 left. Kodiaks really need to stop. Really need to stop here. A big play.
So minute 43 remaining in the fourth quarter. Kamloops Broncos currently ahead 35-20 here late in the game.
I'm sure Coach Marvin Pope down the Kodiak sideline is probably telling his guys, strip the ball. Do what you can to strip the ball. And the Broncos probably aren't going to be too aggressive here on offense, so I'm sure he's probably saying one guy hold the guy up, the other guy start swatting, try and get that out. And for the Broncos on the far side of the field, they're probably saying the exact opposite. They're probably telling their back, 2 hands on the ball, don't try and lunge, reach forward for that extra half a yard or anything else. It's not the time or place to do it. So probably those are the messages I'm assuming that are on both sides of the sidelines here on that timeout.
And Kamloops just a minute 43 away from their first win of their BCFC season after a week 1 bye, a loss in week 2. They're here in Prince George, currently leading 35-20 against the Prince George Kodiaks. It's another handoff, number 42.
Swarms of jerseys there, trying to strip that out. Lefevre was 42 for the Broncos. Definitely have both hands on that one.
It'll be third down, so we'll see whether Kamloops opts to punt the ball, kick for a field goal, or keep their offense. It does look like the kicking team is coming out with the ball currently placed on the 36-yard line inside the Prince George end of the field.
Yeah, I like this call by Braden Van Conant, the head coach of the Broncos here. Just punt the ball here. Your punter's been angling the ball well. If you could put it into the end zone in the corner, fine. But just make sure you get lots of height on this punt. Let your cover guys get down. Don't hit a line drive down the middle of the field to give the returner the best opportunity for return. So just punt the ball here, play defense, and hopefully leave here with a victory if you're a Bronco or a fan.
Minute 12 and counting, third down. Keon Raymond standing along his goal line in anticipation of the kick. Keon Raymond, the head coach, gesturing towards the play clock as it hits 0. A delay game penalty on the Broncos will bring the ball back.
So they're going to mark a 10-yard penalty off because it is within the last 3 minutes of this game. Not a important penalty for the Broncos there. They're okay with that. It might actually help them improve their angles if they want to try and kick one here to the sidelines. So you could have made an argument for the Kodiaks to maybe decline that one almost, because it's if anything it does nothing to help them and may even help the Broncos.
Still third down here, minute 11 remaining in the fourth quarter. Broncos currently leading by 15 at Massage Place Stadium. The home opener for the Prince George Kodiaks as the ball gets snapped. The punter kicks it up. A low kick, gets down, bounces inside the 10 and out at about the
Really
5-yard line.
Late flag on the play, not sure what that is, but that's a fantastic kick by the Broncos there. Exactly what they want to do, hit that one into the corner. Probably couldn't have kicked that, but ended better than that if you're a Bronco fan. We'll see what the flag is here. This was late and it was away from the play, so we'll see what the referees call. It's going to be Kodiak ball. It's just a matter of if they're going backwards or forwards, I'll just start this possession.
We're inside the final minute here of the fourth quarter. The Prince George Kodiaks offense out onto the field, down by 15. So not much, unless you're a massive miracle, to come back in this one, but certainly an important drive for them to at least have some confidence ending this game with some positive plays, some big plays perhaps.
That's what you're trying to build on. These guys are still new playing with each other. It's very new for them. They haven't had a lot of time, so every rep here is valuable for the Prince George Kodiaks.
Some movement along the defensive line.
That'll be offside, I think, against the Broncos, so they'll get 5 yards to breathe out of their own goal line, but valuable reps, every rep. Coaches will tell you, especially when you're new and you're trying to gel as a team, these are still valuable reps, even though it's a daunting task to get 2 scores in 55 seconds.
As you said, 55 seconds remaining here in the fourth quarter of this game, which is brought to you by Gary Young Agencies. We want to thank all of those who've tuned in on 99.3 Rewind Radio or have also watched our stream through BCFC TV or the TELUS Game of the Week on TELUS Channel 1999. Oskowski hands off to, I believe, Noah Lank on the play.
Safe call there by the Kodiaks. I think they're just trying to get some breathing room so they can throw the ball down the field here. We'll see if they do that here on second down, but just a straight ahead run there. Got them good positive yards, so clock will tick here as I don't think the Kodiaks have any more timeouts.
So clock now running here in the fourth quarter, brought to you by Treasure Cove Casino. Kamloops looks to be getting their very first win of the season. Oskowski looks deep to Mitchell, an incomplete pass. Broncos leading 35-20 with 27.8 seconds remaining on the game clock. A turnover on down, so the Kodiaks defense out onto the field. You can likely expect the Kamloops Broncos to just take a knee and let the time run out as they will secure their first win of the season, coming up to Prince George, the northern capital of BC, for their first win of the 2022 BCFC season for them.
Yeah, I think that after that completion, that's going to give the Broncos that win, like you mentioned here. They'll punt the ball, probably have 1 knee, maybe 2. Broncos will get the win, but lots of good positive things for the Kodiaks to build on.
So Mitchell gets the punt off, and the return man quickly takes a knee, gets the whistle called to bring that play to a halt. The Kamloops Broncos offense will come out onto the field. Kodiaks defense out onto the field. Prince George Kodiaks, a much better performance despite the loss, a much better performance tonight than what we saw in week 1 down in Chilliwack. They will be up against the Valley Huskers yet again next Saturday, August 13th, a long road trip down to Chilliwack to take on the Huskers for the second of 3 times this season. Meanwhile, the Kamloops Broncos, they will take the knee, securing a 35-20 victory here at Massich Place Stadium to improve their record to 1-1 on the season. Their next game, they will be out on the island taking on the VI Raiders next Saturday, August 13th. Of course, you can catch both those games on BCFC TV as well as the Kodiaks here on 99.3 Rewind Radio, as we will be on the road broadcasting each and every Kodiaks game this season during their inaugural season. Kamloops Broncos secure the win, 35-20 here at Massich Place Stadium to win their first game of the season. So despite the loss, still a lot to celebrate here at Massich Place Stadium for the take a quick break. When we get back, the post-game show here at Massich Place Stadium. We're back here at Massich Place Stadium. The Kamloops Broncos secure their first win of the BCFC season here in 2022 with a 35-20 victory over the expansion Prince George Kodiaks. A strong win for the Kamloops Broncos. We saw a number of big plays from both sides of the field. Joined with me, Tyler McLaren. Thank you very much for accompanying me tonight for tonight's broadcast and stepping up to do some color commentating. But perhaps, what did you see, what did you like out of tonight's game from both sides?
Well, first of all, my pleasure for jumping on here. I always love to do it and enjoy watching these games and being here. But I think for both teams, there's positives to take away. The Broncos obviously got the victory. That's huge for them. They left last game against the Raiders. Thought they could have easily won that game as well. They didn't, and they came up on the wrong end of that score. So positive for them. If you're the Kodiaks, I think as much as you want to win and everybody wants to win, you got to take the positives. And this is a young team. It's a really young team. My hope is the fans continue to support this team, let this team grow. There's a lot of talent on it. There's a lot of guys that are going to work hard, and they're only going to get better. It's their second game together. Some of these Broncos and other teams have played together for years, so I think that's the takeaway. If you're the Kodiaks, stay positive, focus on the positives, have a little bit of patience, and I think it's a matter of when, not if, this team's going to have success pretty soon, because it's too well coached. There's too much talent on this team, and they've shown a lot of good things here after 2 games.
And not only that, I mean, we look at Kamloops Broncos. They didn't win a game until their final game last season, so certainly perhaps relieved to have been getting that first win much earlier this year. For the Broncos. Perhaps, I mean, let's just, you mentioned the atmosphere here, despite the loss, the atmosphere here at Massich Place Stadium was unbelievable. Your thoughts as the president of the BCFC?
Well, number one, it's really proud, and this is why you do what you do. And for guys, for the Kodiaks and their organization, they should feel really proud of themselves. The people of Prince George should feel really proud of themselves for how they supported this team. It came out tonight in droves, and it's so positive to see. It's so positive to be in a community like this. And to the Kodiaks, like first-class organization, first-class event. I don't remember a regular season game having as much excitement or anticipation, stuff, in-game entertainment. Like, it was just an all-around. And I know if you talk to Craig tonight, he'll be disappointed, or the Kodiaks coaches, they'll be disappointed. But when they sit back tomorrow and tomorrow night, they're going to feel like, you know what, a lot has been accomplished. And this team and this franchise is in good hands, and it has a bright future.
Absolutely. And as mentioned earlier, the Prince George Kodiaks they will be taking on the Valley Huskers down in Chilliwack Saturday, August 13th. So their second road game of the season, still looking for their first win in franchise history. Meanwhile, the Kamloops Broncos will be on the island taking on the Vancouver Island Raiders next Saturday, August 13th. If you're here in Prince George, the next home game will be August 20th. So certainly expecting there to be just as many fans for that, when the Valley Huskers it will be their turn to make a road trip to take on the Prince George Kodiaks. Thank you very much for all of those that tuned in to listen on 99.3 Rewind Radio, and thank you to all those that watched over on BCFC TV or tuned in to the TELUS Game of the Week on channel 1999 for TELUS subscribers. That's it from me. Thanks again to Tyler McLaren for stepping in to provide some color commentating for tonight's game. That wraps up our time here at Massich Place Stadium. You're listening to Prince George Kodiaks football on 99.3 Rewind Radio.